Fellas, how the fuck you doing tonight, man? It's great to see you guys. Hope you guys have been well, man, as we get together again on the greatest show on earth, man, the PP Show. Great to see you guys here tonight. We got a whole lot to unpack this evening. We do have Goat Beards with us here this evening as well. We're going to cover some of that, DD. We got a whole lot to cover in the last week or so, fellas. There's a whole lot to unpack here, from Carl Icon's 10Q recently filed to a whole slew of other things in between, pertaining to GameStop and all this stuff that's going on with eBay, man. It's exciting. I mean, I don't know. I can't be the only one thinking that something is on the horizon here, man. You know, we've waited a very long time, 3 years now, man. And now we're coming up to, obviously, the September date, the date of, obviously Ryan selling his initial shares in 2022. That's just in a couple days from now. Very exciting times ahead. So, let's get in the legality, man. We won't waste any more time. We'll jump straight into the show, man. Great to see you guys here tonight. Someone said volume up more, please. I don't know if that had to do with the AC/DC or if I'm coming out okay on your screens. Let me know. Keep in mind, man, I am not a financial expert, nor am I a financial advisor, right? So please seek the avenues to do so. You're not going to find it here. A lot of this is opinion. A lot of this is speculation. A whole bunch, man, is entertainment, if you haven't guessed it already. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, any guests who come on the show, man, nobody here is a professional. So if you hear any opinions, speculation, TA, things like that, keep in mind, man, nobody here is a professional. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So let's dive into it tonight, man. Let's not waste any more time here. Great to see you guys here tonight. Chat, please give a warm welcome, man, to none other than Wally Buck. Wally, we're going to have to make you a regular here, or obviously you've been a regular here at the show, so we're going to have to make your own intro next. So chat, give a warm welcome to Wally Buck. All right, Wally, what's going on, my man? Good to see you as always.
PP, good to see you, man. Happy to be on the show. Happy that we're having a show.
Right on, man. Good to see you here. Good to see you here. Yeah, a whole lot to unpack here this evening, man. Anything that you want to add before we bring Goat Beards in here? Let's hear it, man. Anything that you've been, anything that's caught your attention? Obviously, we know last time we discussed, there has been rumors circling around that GameStop potentially to pull their $56 billion bid, potentially for some kind of a partnership. What are your thoughts, man? Do you think that there could be some legitimacy to some of this stuff? Sometimes with some of the media, just like with Alibaba or some of these other things where they tend to, somehow get some of this news early, it could have some weight to it. Maybe it's just a rumor. But where do you stand with some of the stuff, if anything pointed out to you from the last week or so, Wally? Let's hear it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I forget which interview it was, but there was it was one of the more recent interviews with Ryan Cohen. I think it was his Bloomberg interview where he basically where he said basically at the end of the interview that he's coming for eBay one way or another. And he said it pretty ominously. So whether or not the $56 billion bid is still on the table, I think it's semantics. I think it's tomato.
Sure.
In the short term, it's not fun to see the stock dip below 20. I said a couple months ago that while this deal is pending, I don't much care what the price of GameStop stock does. If it goes much lower, I'm going to try to find some money to buy a little bit more, average down. But I think we're going for the company one way or another. And this is not an original thought of mine. I've seen it circulate on X, and just sort of it resonated with me right away.
Sure.
But even if the $56 billion bid is off of the table, it reminds me a lot of how Ryan Cohen got in at GameStop to begin with. Like, he got in, and we learned a little bit more this year from other interviews what his journey of getting in was. He kind of dipped his toe in. It was a passive investment at first for him. But then, and then they offered him, they're like, hey, we want you on the board. They thought he was going to be a patsy for them on their board. And he's like, careful what you wish for. Mm-hmm. Got his stake to right where his stake is at with eBay right now, just under 10%. And then a year later, or maybe it was a little bit more than a year later, he became the CEO. I mean, he was obviously the chairman of the board beforehand, but right now I think that Vanguard is eBay's largest institutional shareholder, and Ryan Cohen, outside of the institutions, is the largest single shareholder of eBay. So it to me, it seems that it may not even be necessary to make the bid. All he has to do is get one or two of these institutions on his side. You get a Vanguard, you get a State Street, aligned with you, plus the 10% of shares that you have. If those two or three parties agree that this company should be led by the guy that's got his own skin in the game, the company goes to him. And honestly, as a GameStop shareholder, I think I prefer keeping my GameStop not diluted with eBay shares. I'm perfectly happy being a Gameshire Bathaway stockholder, or right now a GameStop stockholder, and for Ryan to take the market cap of that company. Right now we're about $50 billion, maybe less. We've got 10%, or what percentage of eBay does GameStop own?
9.8%. Coincidentally, the same investment he made into Bed Bath & Beyond in 2022.
What do you know? So
I mean, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy to have Ryan Cohen lead eBay and have GameStop operate as a holding company. I honestly don't think eBay's or GameStop's operations really need Ryan Cohen's leadership anymore. I think he's cleaned up the balance sheet.
Yeah.
I think they're sitting on a mountain of cash. They're running profitably.
Absolutely.
I think he's ready to graduate from at least that segment of the operations. I think where he's really going to be more valuable is as an operator of something like an eBay and a large equity and interest holder in the holding company that has lots of subsidiaries underneath of it. But I'm perfectly happy for GameStop to keep 10% of eBay on their balance sheet. Leave my equity, don't mix my equity with eBay, but go 10x the value of eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Make the 10% of eBay's equity that is on GameStop's balance sheet worth $50 billion instead of $5 billion. And then what does that do to our price floor?
Right. That's a good point. And, you made a good point too. And we're going to bring in Goats here in one moment. You made a good point as well about, the stock price. Obviously, a lot of people right now are, maybe they're in like a panic mode. Some people are in an absolute frenzy of a buying mode right now, right? I mean, you have two sides of the coin. Some people are, pissed and panicking. The stock price under 18. First of all, or, it's around 18. First of all, I think it's a blessing that, if you have any money whatsoever left at this point in time yes, I mean, absolutely, it's a no-brainer to buy GameStop, right? But here's the deal as well, I've been playing Chewy as well on the side in my free time. And, Chewy had a fantastic earnings recently. I don't know, this was maybe a month or a month and a half ago. And the stock price fell based off that bullish news. Again, they had a great earnings, and it went all the way down to 17, which I thought was very interesting as well. Kind of that Q connection, things like that, where you have this like kind of 17 number. It bounced right off of 17 and it rebounded. I think it's like at $22 now. I think the top was like 24. It's hovering around there. They make an absolute shit ton of money. So there is potential where, GameStop's price could in fact drop down, just like, and again, I've been tracking a lot of this stuff. There could be some correlation here to where it will follow what Chewy did as well. It might bounce right off of 17 and it's gonna recover back up to this like $24, $25 price target. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. If it drops to 17, it will be sorry, go ahead.
It's not going down forever. If it got like
correct.
I'm not selling at 15. I'm not selling at 25. I'm not selling at 35. That's not why I'm here. So I mean, it sucks to see the low numbers, but it does give you an opportunity to accumulate with all of that money we've got left over from accumulating and, buying the tops and buying the dips for the past 5 years.
Yeah, right on. We have Thomas the Tank out in the chat with the 5. Appreciate the love, Thomas. Laugh out loud. Respect, you are keeping the grift alive, milking your followers while nothing ever happens. What happened to Jake 2 broke? Still dumb and wrong. We love Jake 2B, man. He's got good DD. Appreciate the 5. I'll use that for some GameStop. Right on. That's at least a quarter of a share. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, love the shout out to Jake 2B, even if it's coming from
Thanks, Thomas.
That perspective. But I had I was battling an ear infection last week. which sucks.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, I probably haven't had one of those since I was like 10 years old. They fucking suck. But I listened to Jake and Sal's recent space from a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Sal uploaded onto Spotify. Yeah, I just take time off work. I bet I listened to that 25 times, and it's so good. So go out there and listen to it. I mean, go poke holes in Jake 2B's reasoning and deduction for, how Ryan Cohen is the affiliate, why it makes sense that he ended up with a 50% equity interest in the company during the bankruptcy. Absolutely amazing analysis and deduction by Jake 2B.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, but again, I think that, if I'm wrong and we don't bounce off, if we don't hit 17, then fantastic. If we hit 17, it's a golden opportunity right there. But I've been tracking Chewy and I do see some correlation here. So with that being said, let's bring in our guest here tonight. We got Goat Beards with us, man. He was a hit last time on the show. He's got a fantastic piece of DD that we're going to read here tonight. Some people want to pick his brain and, me being one of them. And let's bring him on the show. So chat, please give a warm welcome to Goat Beards. All right, what's going on? We got Goat Beards here with us tonight. How you doing, my man? Welcome back to the PP Show.
How's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for having me on the show again. It is the opportunity of a lifetime, and I feel so blessed to be here with you. I said this maybe on the last show, but I've spent 5 years watching from the sidelines. Felt like I had a lot to contribute, and I guess a side effect of the transition from Superstar to X was it allowed people to have that platform to raise their voice and get those ideas out. So thank you all so much for the support and all the love and the interest in my ideas and engaging with them constructively and where it's necessary, critically. So thank you so much for having me.
Right on. Yeah, anytime, man. Yeah, absolutely. Good to have you back here. So I'm going to pull up your post here. You had written a fantastic post about this 35-day window here. Now, I love to cover it if I can for the chat. It's not super lengthy, but I do want to read it for everybody just to give them an idea. If you want to pause me at any point in time to expand upon anything, please feel free to interrupt me at any time.
All right, let's do it.
All right, cool. So this is from Goat Beards here. It says GameStop's 35-day window. This has to do with the recent debt exchange that we had seen. Okay, so it says the convertible debt exchange. On August 3rd, 2026, GameStop filed an 8K announcing a private exchange of $1.4 billion in convertible senior notes for Class A common stock. No cash involved, privately negotiated with existing institutional note holders. The breakdown: 2030 notes exchanged $400 million for $1.5 billion. 2032 notes exchanged $1 billion for $2.7 billion. Total exchange is $1.4 billion of the $4.2 billion. Remaining after exchange $2.8 billion. The $1.1 billion 2030 plus $1.7 billion for 2032. Overhang reduction 33.3%. The market read this as dilution. GME dropped 12% to $19. That's the first order reaction. The conversion prices on these notes are 28.91 for 2030 and 29.85 for 2032. Every market participant knows that as GameStop approaches $30, note holders can convert, flooding new shares. That overhang has been the synthetic ceiling on the stock price for over a year now. You just removed a third of the ceiling. At $29, that's roughly 48 million fewer shares that can ever print from conversion at that level. The names on the filings. When companies file exhibits with the SEC, internal project code names sometimes survive in the file names. They're supposed to be neutral, picked from the theme so they don't leak the deal's nature if someone sees a document. The ones GME filed, the convertible debt and bonds under are not neutral. Read them in executional order, and we have them listed here. We have Project Rocket 2030 notes, $1.5 billion April 2025. We do have Project We, which is the 2032 notes, $2.25 billion for June 2025. And we have Project Genesis, warrant dividend GME warrants October 2025. Okay. These are 0.00% coupon notes, zero interest. GameStop pays nothing to carry them. You don't structure zero coupon convertibles if the plan is to service them as a traditional debt. Thomas the Tank with the 5. All of your, especially Jake DD, has been wrong. You miss record gains in the market to circle jerk each other with I am very smart fanfics DD. Appreciate the 5. We're almost to a full share of GameStop. Come on, Thomas, we can make it, my man. Appreciate the 5. The conversion is the product. The notes exist to become equity at the right moment, and they named the first one Rocket. The debt was also meant to combust and not sit on the balance sheet until 2030. Project Genesis distributes the warrant 6 months later and calls it the beginning. And structurally, the warrants aren't just a dividend, but a unification layer. Stop for a moment and consider, what does every single class of GME investor have in common? The warrants. Every participant in GameStop's capital structure received the same instrument shareholders, 2030 notes, note holders, and 2032 note holders on as converted basis. Everyone gets the same participation right, regardless of where they sit in the capital stack. That's a founding instrument. And you have attached here in a 251G holdco reorganization, existing shares exchange automatically for equivalent equity in the new parent. But warrants are a separate contractual instrument. They don't automatically roll. They have to be specifically addressed in the reorganization terms, which means whoever designed the warrant agreement had to contemplate the restructuring at the time of issuance.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
Sure, go ahead.
1 second.
Please.
So one thing I want to add on to that 251 note. So a lot of the SEC filings that GameStop has drafted, if you're paying close attention, you can see that every single one is built with optionality in mind. And that's by design if you're working with an M&A firm or a top legal firm, because that is exactly the playground they play in, right? We expose ourselves to as many options as possible. So when it comes time to execute, we didn't limit ourselves. We didn't shoot ourselves in the foot. So the point that I want to make here, which I didn't really clarify in the article, is that this transfer, this reorganization, those terms are baked into the warrant legalese and that SEC filings. So from the beginning, all of the things that GameStop has filed with SEC, these bonds, these warrants, everything has this legalese, has this language for a conversion. Now, by itself, it kind of seems like, okay, like they have a standard template, but when you look at what they're doing and which paths have closed off to themselves, isn't it interesting how the 251 is still a remaining path?
Sorry, are you still there?
Yeah, that's my point. Sorry.
Oh, did we lose you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, that was my point. I just wanted to mention that it's important to note that GameStop did include the transferable language that would allow it to transform into that entity.
All right, excellent. So it goes on to say here, the genesis of the new structure is the warrant, the bridge between GME as an operating company and Teddy, the holding company. Every warrant holder is holding a ticket into the new entity. And the expiration date, October 30th of 2026, lands exactly 37 days after the VWAP window closes. Just enough time to exercise into the new structure, but not a generous window. And I do want to add as well, the timing too. Like, this puts us right around the time of, especially October 30th, shares were pulled out of everyone's accounts October 18th, to my knowledge. So that gives us like shy of 2 weeks right after that date where these actually expire as well. So something I did want to point out as well. Where was I? And it goes on to say just enough time to exercise into the new structure, but not a generous window. 14 months after Rocket is filed, a third of the fuel gets lit. 1.4 billion exchanged for equity. The debt burns off, the shares appear, the ceiling thins. The VWAP window, the number of shares issued in the exchange is not fixed. From the 8K directly, it says the share count will be determined based in part of the average volume weighted average price of the common stock over a 35 consecutive trading day reference period beginning on August 3rd of 2026. And we do have that down here, subject to per share price floor right here highlighted as well. Very thorough, DD. Excellent stuff. The reference period ends on or about September 23rd of 2026. This is the mechanism. Every trading day in the window counts equally in the average. The VWAP determines how many shares the note holders receive. Lower VWAP equals more shares equals more dilution. A higher VWAP equals fewer shares equals less dilution. The VWAP scenario is laid out right here. It says at $19, the VWAP, we have shares issued 73.7 million shares. At 25 VWAP, we have 56 million shares. And at 30 VWAP, we have 46.7 million shares. Duma OS with the 2. Appreciate the love, man. DRS. Pulte. Yeah, right on. We miss Bill. It goes on to say here, the difference between a $19 VWAP and a $30 VWAP is 27 million shares, the catalyst inside the window. GameStop's Q2 earnings are estimated to land around September 8th, 2026 after market close. That's approximately trading days 26 of 35 inside of this window. We also have another thing attached here with the EPS. We have consecutive EPS beats, 8 quarters. Last quarter Q1, 0.30 EPS versus a 0.11 estimates, over 173%. Q1 revenue, $835 million versus $766.6 million estimated. The Q2 EPS estimate was 0.06 to 0.027 as well. So they're already on track to being incredibly profitable at this point in time. 8 consecutive beats, and the last tripled the estimate. Now that print drops inside a VWAP reference window where every dollar of upside mechanically reduces the share count issued to note holders. Why I think weekly, not backloaded. If the objective is to maximize the 35-day VWAP, backloading all catalysts into the final 10 days is optimal. You'd be letting 25 days print at $19 and trying to rescue it with a late sprint. A VWAP of $21 to $22 at best, still issuing 65 million plus shares. But if you drip catalysts across the window with, let's say, one structural disclosure every 7 to 8 days, trading days, you're ratcheting the VWAP up progressively. Every day at a higher price pulls the average up proportionately. The math favors a staircase over a hockey stick. I'm muling over a timeline like this. Week 1, exchange announce, stock absorbs the shock. Trades 19 to 20. This is the floor. The VWAP starts occurring at its lowest point. Week number 2, reframing catalyst, consortium announcement, LOI, or structural disclosure that repositions the exchange as a pre-deal infrastructure and not dilution, $22 to $24. Week number 3, 251G holdco reorganization, the Teddy holding structure becomes viable, $24 to $26. Week 4 through 5, consolidation into earnings, market digest weeks 2 through 3. Then Q2 hits September 8th. 9 consecutive beats validates the structural narrative, $27 to $30 a share. Week 6 through 7, tender offer filing or formal bid, stock pins near or above conversion prices into the close of the window. The VWAP locks in on September 23rd. Every piece of remaining infrastructure is executively controlled. The authorized shares are approved 68.7% vote. The 251G is a board action under Delaware law. The consortium is a private negotiation. Cohen doesn't need permission for any of it. He controls the timing of every disclosure. Now we have the note holder signal. The note holders accepted a VWAP-based share count. But let's think about what they rejected. A fixed price exchange at $19 to $22 would have given them a maximum shares immediately. They chose a 35-day VWAP with the price floor instead. That means they're comfortable receiving fewer shares if the stock runs during this window. These are institutional holders in privately negotiated agreements. They either hedge their downside completely or they know something about the back half of the window that makes them comfortable with a higher VWAP producing fewer shares. The 8K says it explicitly. The note holders may purchase or sell shares of common stock in open market transactions or enter into and unwind various derivative transactions. They're actively positioning around a window they helped design. The thinner ceiling at 30. Before the exchange, the conversion wall at $29 consisted of $4.2 billion in notes. Every dollar above $29 triggered potential share creation from note holders exercising conversion rights. The stock couldn't sustain prints above the mid 20s. Post exchange, the wall is 2.8 billion. The gamma exposure is 33% lighter, and the hedging burden is proportionally reduced. That doesn't make $30 inevitable, but it makes $30 survivable. The stock can finally push through the conversion zone without getting immediately stuffed by conversion-driven share creation. Stack that with an earnings beat inside the window and a potential structural disclosure, and you have three forces acting on the same price level simultaneously: reduced resistance, positive fundamental catalyst, and institutional activity from note holder hedging. Goat, if you don't mind explaining this real quick for everybody, what I just read, I need to just use the bathroom just very briefly, and I'll be back in less than 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, sounds good.
So I kind of missed that last section. I was just answering some text, but I do kind of want to rewind here. There's a lot more I can add here. But I think the framing is the most important thing, right? So a lot of people are really upset about this VWAP window. A lot of people are complaining about the fact that GameStop's at $18. I'm kind of confused myself because what's the difference between 20 and 18? Right? It's $2. So when you look at the overall situation, it's not that kind of big of a deal. But then again, when you look at what Ryan Cohen has said, this was promised, right? Did he not come out in the beginning of the year and, or I guess May, and say, hint at 50% dilution? And at that point, everyone was kind of confused, right? So then he says, give me the authorization for the shares to issue the shares. And yes, I will dilute, but it will be accretive. And then he goes and he establishes this VWAP period, right, to convert some of the bonds. So we're all looking at each other like, okay, he said, I'm going to dilute and I'm going to offer shares, right, to people. And those strongly hinting at those people being counterparties in the deal. And then now he openly comes out and says, by the way, we're issuing shares. So, the reaction, in my opinion, is a little kind of, it's a bit of an overreaction, right? You were promised dilution for this deal to happen. So what does that mean? When Ryan Cohen promised us dilution, he didn't say he's just going to openly dilute the stock. He said he's going to dilute it to get the deal done. So the biggest red flag that, kind of popped out to me was, I was thinking to myself, if he offered eBay owners half cash, half stock, he said, I'm going to issue GameStop shares and I'm going to give you the stock. And then he says, actually, eBay rejected the bid. I'm going to go directly to the owners. And by far, eBay is 90% institutionally owned, one of the biggest institutionally owned companies. So, and we know that institutions work in different ways than the average investor, private placement, boardroom meetings, consultants, etc. So then when we see a private placement for dilution, for issuance of shares, it's a red flag in itself. It's kind of signaling to ourselves that this is the dilution that Cohen promised, and he's issuing shares to someone. And the biggest red flag is that it's a private placement. He's not giving it to, one or two. He literally went to a couple institutional holders and said, hey, we have alignment here. You want shares at $18? And for some reason, those institutions said yes. So one thing here, speaking aside from the VWAP period, one thing here is I see a lot of GameStop investors get very upset. They ask the question, why is Ryan Cohen giving all of this to institutions? I think that's kind of the incorrect framing, and the correct framing should be not the fact that Ryan Cohen is giving this to institutions, but how do we differ from institutions? Institutions have a set playbook and set profit metrics, set yield percentages that they have to exit their positions. They have to sell some, right? And they have a different mindset, a different motivation than investing as an individual investor. Now, in this Teddy structure that we've described here, and the one that Cohen has kind of set up himself with the $500 million transaction that we haven't seen, he's positioning himself to be not a debt holder, not an institutional investor, but seed capital, which means he has the most to lose and also the most to gain. And that's actually what Class 9 means as well. PP hasn't been going and explaining Class 9 to everyone for years so that we can sit here and be like, oh yeah, we have no understanding of what Class 9 is. Class 9 means that we are exposed to all of the risk, but also all of the upside. These institutions are not. So when we talk about this VWAP period and we look at what's going on here, we can see that Cohen is giving shares to to institutions in a private placement. So it's not like it's all the bondholders. It's specific ones he's negotiated with. Ryan Cohen said he would give shares to make the eBay acquisition happen. The two things are the same thing, right? There's no difference in between the two. Now let's look at the VWAP period for a second, because that sequence that I had wrote initially, and I put the price targets out there because everyone loves price targets. But if you look at it, it is kind of playing out, right? I said an announcement every single week. Last week we had the VWAP announcement, right? The stock price cratered to a $2 difference, right? We're here for hundreds of dollars. We don't care about an $18, like we don't care about a $20 to $18 price drop. So that in itself is very limited, are we losing like that much money? If you bought a week ago, honestly, you're not losing that much money. You lost $2 off of your investment.
The price is also wrong, right? I mean, they're so profitable. They have so much cash. They have a huge position in eBay. I mean, the only likely thing is that the price is incorrect. The market is pricing this thing completely wrong.
And that is the greatest statement anyone can make, because it begs the question, why, if the market is pricing it wrong, why would institutions want to buy at $18? Why would they want the lowest entry point possible? And why would they do all this before a blowout earnings when the Power Packs model has a full quarter after launch and is going to be incorporated into earnings, including the eBay position? Why would any of them, right, get in before that? Because they see the upside in their earnings. They see the upside at the back half of the VWAP period, right? So what I proposed initially was Cohen using this VWAP period to absorb some of that shock and then slowly ratchet up his bid for eBay. What's interesting is the news that came out this week. I kind of want to talk about it for a little bit because
go ahead.
We know for a fact, and if you've been in GameStop since 2020, you would know this as well. But Ryan Cohen often uses Wall Street Journal, huge news outlets, and leaves a hint to say that it was from him. He always says sources say, or someone close to the matter, or wasn't able to identify themselves. And if you look at the nature of these articles, that phrasing starts with the one post Chewy where it talks about Ryan Cohen being the golden boy and where he's going to invest his money. So the same thing happened this Monday morning. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's just entirely a rumor. And the rumor also contains the statement that he is undecided and he might not do that. So we need to ask ourselves, what purpose does that news release serve? Did it serve Ryan Cohen positively? Did it serve GameStop positively? Did it serve GameStop negatively? The reality is, there's no official decision been made. The bid was rejected May 12th. He said he's going to take it directly to owners. A rumor comes out that he might shift position, right? Did he actually change his bid? Did he propose anything? No. But what happened? eBay completely shed their bid premium entirely. So why would he want to do that? It's exactly like I said. Because if you want to file a tender offer, you don't want the premium to be the premium based off of the premium that you needed to establish the toehold, that 9.8% stake. You drove it up yourself. You want to bleed the premium as much as possible before you go and file that tender offer, before you go and file something, for example, saying that we had sovereign wealth funding. Because this is the plan, right? He wants to issue the VWAP period. GameStop has dilution. GameStop is connected to the bid and owns 9.8% of eBay. eBay loses the bid premium, goes down on weakness, goes down on stagnant growth, which an important point I want to make. eBay's growth is not stagnant. It's dying. For anyone to look at eBay and say in a growing global market where over the past 5 years, 1.8 billion people have come online and gained access to smartphones, and that's not from birth rates. That's access rates alone. And you have the world's biggest global marketplace and you're not growing at all, that's a complete failure. So Cohen knows all this because he's experienced the same failure with GameStop and he turned it around. So what he's trying to do here very, very clearly is shed the bid premium before he announces the next level, the next ramp up for the bid. Now I'm predicting here it's going to be sovereign wealth fund, but I'm not going to predict concretely that's exactly what's going to happen.
Sure.
I'm expecting some sort of, financing announcement, some sort of thing to make it a bit more credible in terms of the financing. And I expect we're probably going to see that because, he did leak the sovereign wealth fund. We know Cohen doesn't leak things for no reason. He never has, right? And then I think finally, what we all need to ask is if GameStop has the VWAP period enables shorting, right? So the private placement, those institutions are going to short it. If GameStop is being so shorted at the beginning of the VWAP period and these institutions are buying it on a low price, knowing that earnings is at the end of the period, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can clearly see the pattern is for Cohen to depress the stock price here and then push it up right before the VWAP period ends. And then when you look at the gap in between the VWAP period ending and the warrants expiring, I don't know if anyone remembers. I mean, I've read the warrant legalese a million times, but there are clauses there for the warrants where if it trades above a certain strike price, GameStop can redeem it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
So there you have literally the entire plan laid out for you. So why would Cohen end the VWAP period 4 to 5 weeks before the warrants expire, which fits exactly with the redemption timeline? And then we have a huge catalyst at the end of the VWAP period. So you know what I'm expecting here, and what I see is the initial depression, subsequent announcements raise the stock price. We want the detachment from the eBay stock price, right? And then near the end of the VWAP window, as the catalysts are released, we have earnings, we have this, et cetera, et cetera. Also, I wouldn't expect an earnings call, and I would expect earnings to be pulled 1 week earlier, like last time.
Just you think that they're going to drop the earnings a little earlier this time?
Yeah, I think they did it last time, and they might do it this time too. But then again, it's optional, right? It's depending on what happens during the VWAP period, Cohen can action what he wants. And like I said in this article, every single piece of disclosure that we're waiting for is all on his time. He can reveal it whenever he wants. But we know his limits, right? We know the warrants are going to expire at a certain point. We know the VWAP period expires at a certain point. So what I expect, honestly, is by the end of the VWAP period, so what we're going to see for the next 2-3 weeks is probably people complain a bit more. We're going to see a lot more shows come out. We're going to hear people say Teddy doesn't exist. We're going to hear people say that Teddy doesn't matter. We're going to hear people say that Bed Bath & Beyond, there's no point in Ryan Cohen's involvement there. We're going to hear the most FUD you've possibly heard in the past 6 years as the stock price comes down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And another reminder, it's $2 off. It was a $20 stock and is now in the mid $18 levels. The amount of FUD we're seeing is not equivalent to the downtrend that we're seeing, especially in a time that we were promised the downtrend. And then what we're going to see is as the pressure relieves near the end of the period, we're going to get those announcements. And if Cohen is successful in this venture, right, if we do believe that he is going to not let the warrants expire, not change them, I strongly believe that he won't. He's never distributed warrants before. He's never issued warrants before. He would issue them for a reason only. He wouldn't issue them without it. He has 10 million caught up in it, millions more caught up in the distribution and issuance of these warrants. It is entirely detrimental, and it would be the first loss of the entire GameStop saga, first financial loss of the entire GameStop saga for Ryan Cohen to let these expire worthless. But now look at what Ryan Cohen has said. He said the exact period that we need it to trade above the strike price is exactly the amount of time we have from the VWAP period expiry to the warrant expiry.
So let me ask you this, okay? Just your personal opinion. With rumors going around that GameStop is going to potentially do buybacks, where would that place us as well? Because they can do a $2 billion buyback. Would they be the ones? Is there a window where they can officially start utilizing that cash for buybacks? Where do you kind of stand with that? I'm curious.
Great question. So it's a bit of a tricky one because, some people following my page were kind of upset with me for kind of predicting a buyback a couple of weeks back, but that was really the only period that they could have done that, right? Because now they're entering this VWAP period. They can't do buybacks. There's an earnings quiet period. They can't do buybacks. Are they going to do buybacks in between the warrants? I mean, I think that would be subject to a lot of litigation. Imagine you just directly buy back and just pushes up the warrants. Everyone would be really upset about that, right? Except for GameStop holders. So that I don't think Cohen's design is that inelegant. But what I do think is the scale of the buyback, right? Why would you do it now and why wouldn't you do it later when you need it or whatever? I think the scale of the buyback speaks for itself, right? You have 2.5 billion shares being authorized, right? We have a total cap raise. And then in the same breath, we have a $2.0 billion buyback available. Now, those two things, I've kind of written about this before, but those two things don't make sense for GameStop alone. But for a conglomerate, they make sense. Berkshire Hathaway does the recurring buybacks. They need that program for it, right? They also do. Sorry, what I was going to say is what's interesting here is Cohen has set up every single piece he would need to do the 251 into Teddy and unveil Teddy. And those pieces that are critical for that to happen haven't been touched. Right? The buyback hasn't been touched.
Mm-hmm.
The share issuance has been touched, but in an extremely accretive way, in a private placement. Right? So from what I'm seeing here, and all the Teddy stuff happening at the same time, concurrently, it seems like he is setting up for this conglomerate holding, right? There's nothing that indicates that he hasn't. He's left all the doors open for it, and he's closed the doors that signify that he isn't doing it. So the way that I see it is that GameStop will make these announcements, and the Teddy idea alone, like let's say you start off with a dying retailer, and then you announce, oh, by the way, we're making this huge bid. No one believes you. And then you announce, oh, no, we have financial backing. Mm-hmm. We have institutional investment. We have private equity. We have sovereign wealth funds. We have an incredible amount of capital that's all betting on the same turnaround. And we're restructuring into a holdings company. Now, another point I made earlier in this week is that people are really upset about GameStop's pricing right now. I would argue that GameStop is priced exactly where it should be. Now, this seems kind of a weird thing, right? But as a GameStop investor, but look at the market right now. NVIDIA trades at an insane PE ratio, right? But yes, why is that? Does NVIDIA deserve that ratio? NVIDIA has technically created a world that we didn't know existed 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. By any metric, even in the most overinflated bubble, they deserve that. They've built the architecture for our new world, right? That is the type of level of company that warrants that insane PE ratio. Now, GameStop, they haven't issued any guidance. They're not like Jensen Huang saying we're going to go change the world. Ryan Cohen doesn't work like that. He just goes to work, and he does the work first. And everything he's signaling has been for this holdco. So now imagine what happens when Ryan Cohen, I'm saying he doesn't need the buybacks. Just that Teddy announcement alone with the financing, with the guidance, which is issued for the first time for this earnings, which is an interesting point because this earnings also happens during the VWAP period. So why would he issue guidance for this one? Because now he is finally ready to unveil forward guidance, the future plan. And he slowly unveiled it over the past couple months, over the interviews. He's explained the digital marketplace. He's explained his, synergy with the GameStop eBay combination. Mm-hmm. He's explained the financials a lot. So to me, that's really the only outcome I see happening here. Anything else would be, just kind of really not make sense, right? I mean, he set everything up for it, and he's executing on that timeline. I mean, Teddy went down for the first time in years. It's been an operating bookstore for years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think that everything he's executed upon, the last 2 years have been spot on, right? I mean, like you wrote, the 8 consecutive, earnings have just been getting better and better each time. Power packs. I mean, they're making so much money right now. It's insane. And Cohen goes on these interviews. He gives these interviews. And, one of the things that stands out to me is how he says, why does everybody want GameStop to fail so much, right? This is a great American company, right? Why are they betting against a great American brand such as GameStop? Because they've turned around the company. There's no longer a bankruptcy thesis. They're making, so much cash. And yet all you see is a lot of these hedge funds, because they're over leveraged, in my opinion, right? And they've been shorting the stock since 2020, which they're still stuck inside of. They need this company to fail, but Cohen's not going to allow it, right? And now jump to today, right? I don't think any of us out there, okay, thought, back in the day, I used to think $1 billion on the balance sheet was something, to rave about, right? And now it's fucking 9 billion, right? I mean, yeah, it's like 4.5 billion now after the eBay, purchase of their 9.8% shares, but there was a time where I thought even $1 billion was just insane to have on the balance sheet. Jump to today, I never thought they would have this much cash. And it just proves time and time again that Ryan Cohen is a fantastic CEO. And yes, he makes a good point on these interviews. Why everyone in Wall Street is betting on their demise. And the only realistic, answer to that question is that they're over leveraged in terms of their short positions. So,
it's actually, that's such a great point, PP. And I have an additional point to bring in.
sure.
I think what GameStop investors are facing is, Cohen has talked about it a little bit. He says perverse incentives. He says corporate America is against us and everything. But really, I think GameStop investors need to understand the scope of what Ryan Cohen is proposing here. And the reason why we face so much vitriol is because what Ryan Cohen is proposing is what digital ownership should have been in the first place. If you look at a marketplace in general, marketplaces throughout history have worked based on circulation. Now, when we transitioned from physical to digital, every single person, for some weird reason, decided, let's completely abandon the traditional marketplace model. Let's isolate. Let's use all the users that we've accumulated over the years, and let's extract value for them. We're going to close off our platforms. We're not going to give them refunds if they play the games.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to let them trade them. We're not going to let them sell them. We're barely going to let them buy them. They're not going to get any sales unless it's dictated on our terms. So that in itself doesn't work. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you try to extract value out of a marketplace and that's your entire profit model, you fail. And now the reason why GameStop is faced with so much vitriol is because Cohen knows this. It happened to GameStop, right? The shift from from physical to digital killed GameStop. They had to close stores, were a dying retailer, and everything. Same thing that happened to Blockbuster. But what was the problem with all these things? If you look at Netflix, they kind of face the same problem, right? They had to shift from physical to digital. And now they're going for the full value extraction model, streaming, gating, raising prices, and none of it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the CEO is going on live TV and putting down the theater industry that makes all the money for him. So he's not only misunderstanding the entire marketplace model, he's also shitting on the thing that makes him the money. So, of course, GameStop is in a unique situation where they've been destroyed by this, right? But look at Power Packs and look what Ryan Cohen has proposed with the infrastructure of Power Packs. It is not a digital marketplace in the standard terms. It is the only fully functional digital marketplace that works like a traditional marketplace. Circulation is 100%. It is the only digital marketplace that lets you extract value out of it on your own terms. Steam, you can make as much money as possible selling skins. None of that value is yours because it's all in Steam wallet funds. Now, if you spend thousands of hours playing CSGO like I have, you know what you can do if you get really good and you have tons of skins. You go to the third-party market, right? And then you sell your skins on there. And you sell your skins for thousands of dollars. And guess what happens? Steam gets none of it, right? User base is gone. Money is coming out of the system. That's not how a marketplace works. Mm-hmm. Marketplaces don't work by extracting value. They work by circulating value. So this is exactly why Cohen launched Power Packs and then went on this bid. He proved the marketplace model, the digital marketplace model. Now what he's asking for is expansion. And that's what he's doing with the financial engineering. And I think this is really important to understand too, because Cohen knew this beforehand going into eBay. He did it with Chewy. He talks about auto ship and the recurring revenue constantly, right? Because that is a circular marketplace model. No other company was doing it at the time. Is how he brought Chewy to profitability. And then he established Teddy Holdings after selling Chewy in 2020, hired an activist firm, and went to work. He did not become the CEO of GameStop for 3 years because he was busy working. He did the whole Bed Bath & Beyond stuff. And
it's a good point.
Here's a strong parallel that I think everyone should try to understand. Ryan Cohen made this bid for eBay. He said he wanted to be the owner of a company. Ryan Cohen made the bid for GameStop. He said he wanted to be the owner of the company. Mm-hmm. Both times he offered a pathway for him getting a board seat or ownership of the company. And everyone knows if Cohen gets a board seat, he's not going to be sympathetic. He's going to be extremely antagonistic and drive the board out, just like he did with GameStop. Did he do that with Bed Bath & Beyond? Did he ask for ownership of the company? No. Why? Because the outcome he wanted wasn't ownership of the company. And think about what he did and when he got it. He got his 3 board seats. Did he not?
Yep, he did.
Agreed to the standstill. He got his 3 board seats, and they took it into bankruptcy.
And then he offered them $400 million to buy them out.
Exactly. So by all purposes, in terms of if we look at an activist investor and their track record, he's done everything that he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't failed a single thing, including the Bed Bath & Beyond stuff. And look, he's the only person still linked to the 16B, right? And this entity has the other pillar of what he's been proposing, Berkshire Hathaway. It's rumored to have $3.5 billion of nulls. And that is the Berkshire Hathaway method, right? You have float, which is inherent in the actual true marketplace model, and then you need to offset it somehow. And that's where the conglomerate comes in. And that's where the Teddy holding structure. And that's the reason why out of every single thing that Ryan Cohen has touched over the past 6 years, the one thing with nulls, the one thing that could have given them nulls, is in bankruptcy, and he's still dealing with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even today, he's still in these filings, right? So I like it. Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away, man, tonight by goat beards, man. I mean, holy cow, man.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to, these are questions I ask myself all the time, and these are questions that I frame to kind of break my own logic, right? Like, I would be lying if I wasn't saying that I was upset by the recent stock price movement, right? Am I mad that GameStop went down from $20 to $18? Yes, I'm mad. And then I ask myself, should I be mad that GameStop went down from $20 to $18? No, I wasn't going to sell for a $2 profit. I wasn't going to sell for a $2 loss. No, I'm in this for life-changing money because I see that this person is developing something that hasn't been developed and that we're suffering from as an industry because of it. I mean, look at games nowadays. What you have no choices. And one of the most common things about the PS5, I have a PS5 Pro. I've been a huge gamer. Everyone says PS5 has no games. PS5 has no games. Why is that? It's because they extracted so much value, they can only get value out of remakes and sequels and re-releases. Look at GTA. Look at The Last of Us. These are huge companies that were once known for quality, and they're just pumping out slop remakes of the same thing, no new ideas. And look at, so for example, Ubisoft is a great example. They just released Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah.
That's a $60 remake.
Great game, by the way. I mean, I love it.
One of my favorite games of all time. Amazing game. But what's interesting is the guy who made it, right? The original creator and the designer who made Ubisoft so popular with Assassin's Creed games, he actually left Ubisoft recently, and he was very upset with their model. And what did he do? He went out, grabbed a team of 30 people, and made the game of the year. Expedition 33 was made by 30 people, is one of the best games of all time, made on a shoestring budget by people who are passionate about it and understand what the consumer wants. And we're going to start to see that shift more and more and more. Now, you have things like GTA that's coming out, right? That's going to be a huge hit for the system in general. That's going to be a huge hit for GameStop. It's going to bring revenue into GameStop.
People are going to be buying new consoles just for that game.
Exactly. The best place to play GTA 6 is on a PS5 Pro. Where do you buy a PS5 Pro? GameStop. You can go to Best Buy, but what are you going to do? Are you going to buy an $800 console from scratch, or are you going to trade in your PS5 for a PS5 Pro like everyone else does?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So Cohen knows where the market is going. He sees where, the industry is going, and it makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't he? This is his industry. He's born and raised by it, right? He lived it. So I think we all need to start asking those same questions to us, right? Why are you here investing in GameStop? Are you looking for a quick buck? Then I don't think GameStop's an investment for you, because if you look at the past 5 years, I don't think you made your quick buck, unless you're Roaring Kitty, right? Are you in GameStop because you believe in something the market isn't believing, and you understand the fundamentals much better than everyone else at a time where the stock is depressed and institutions are loading up? And that is the GameStop play. That is where wealth creation happens, when Wall Street doesn't price things right, and you have a player who is smart, who is strong, who understands how to run a business, who understands how to run a company, and he has this ambitious plan. And the most important part of any ambitious plan is you don't reveal that ambitious plan until you go and do it, until you prove the model. And now Power Packs is the model. It proves it entirely. The scale is easy. All they have to do is add a couple more cards, right? Add a couple more sets. And then you can expand into other types of assets, right? And that has always been the GameStop theory. That has always been the GameStop model. That's why we've been here for 6 years. That's what we've been talking about for 6 years. So be very careful in the next couple of weeks because you're going to see a lot of shills come out and they're going to say stuff like Teddy isn't real. Conglomerate.
They've been saying that for years, man. You know, I mean,
and I just think it's so crazy because at the end of all of it, 5 years, like, and you know, for this also relate, like, this is the reason why I made that my account and why I've been posting about this, because there's only been 1 year where Cohen did the Berkshire framing. That's this year.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah.
No other year has he said that, and he openly said it. So why isn't every GameStop investor dancing about Teddy right now? And another thing, a lot of GameStop investors are told, don't dance. Do you remember where that's from? That's from the Big Short movie because Michael Burry said that. Michael Burry himself doesn't believe in the GameStop play. So why are you listening to him? Every GameStop investor should be dancing their heart out and laughing because they know they have the most asymmetrical bet in the market. They know institutions are loading up. They know the fundamentals as well as you possibly could for any company. They know the future guidance. They understand it more intimately than anything. And that's why I love when Mags always posts, we lost, right? Because I think everyone should be saying, not we won, but everyone should be celebrating and dancing and laughing and celebrating.
And hyping.
We have won, right? We got everything we wanted. He's doing what we wanted.
Right.
To a T.
Yeah. I mean, well said, man. I mean, I got to say, like, it's a fantastic piece of DD here. I urge everyone out there to read this. I'm going to read this conclusion that I want to pull or let me come back to this real quick. I want to actually show you this as well. Here's an old photo of Roaring Kitty when the stock price is exactly where it's at today, right? I mean, it's almost like history is repeating itself. And, you know, granted, yes, you know, we did have a 4-to-1 type of split, and really the stock price is whatever 4 times 18 is, probably like
68.
around like 68, something like that.
Wait. Is that August 11th, it says?
Yeah. I mean, you can't make this. That's what I'm saying. Like, you cannot make this shit up. Also, shout out Flip Mode out there for the photo. I mean,
I love Flip Mode, man.
I mean, wow. Like, you literally can't make this shit up, right? A day ago, and it's like, it's right around the same price. I mean, look at even Roaring Kitty's face. He's also confused by it, right? But
Hey,
this
you know,
is
Cohen
a golden. Yeah, go ahead.
Cohen said it himself. He said he invested in GameStop because it's cyclical. You know, that's probably
a good
what
point.
We're saying here.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you know, I think that history does tend to, you know, some people say, oh, history doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme. It is. I mean, to me, it's repeating. I mean, quite literally down to the T, down to the price of everything that we're seeing. And this is why I think it is a golden opportunity. Look, people out there can do whatever they want with their money. We've said that for years here. You know, do whatever you want here with money. But any additional money that I have personally, yes, I would absolutely 100% and not even think twice about it. And this is just my own opinion. Throw it into GameStop because it's a money-making machine. I mean, it is the turnaround story. And the fact is that it's priced wrong, right? So I did want to just add that. I mean, you literally can't make this shit up. Yes, August 11th, the stock price was at $18 as well. Let me just read your conclusion here as well. So in conclusion of everything that within this post here, it says you don't design a 35-day VWAP window that contains your earnings date. Negotiate privately with institutional note holders who accept variable share counts and retire a third of your conversion overhang unless the back half of the window is supposed to look drastically different than the front. Every piece of the remaining infrastructure 251G consortium tender filing is board controlled, and the clock started last Monday. Goatbeard's DD forensic brief. I mean, wow, what a fucking amazing post,
much, dude.
Yeah,
it's so interesting to hear it being read out loud after I've spent so much time writing it.
Yeah,
you know, so I really, really appreciate that.
It's amazing stuff. Do you mind if I read this one about the Teddy books one that you made as well? Since we're on the
no, I made it for today. I made it for this show specifically.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, let's go ahead and read it then. How does that sound? Sound good?
Let's do it.
Okay. So it says here, the Teddy books are tinfoil. You know, PP loves his Teddy books, man. All right. So it says here, is the most effective FUD I have ever seen. Partly why I made this account is because there had been a lot of due diligence done over the years, some quite significant, but often is completely dismissed. This is intentional. If you are investing in GME and the CEO comes out at the top of the year and says, I'm going to do Berkshire Hathaway, but faster, most investors would be incredulous However, to GameStop investors, this announcement is nothing new and actually is full alignment with MOAS. And I want to add as well, it's like we saw Bill Pulte say Gameshire Bathaway. We saw Sultan Al Madid say Gameshire Bathaway, right? So like there's this repetitiveness of like Gameshire Bathaway. They're not saying, they're not instinctively saying just GameStop. They're saying Gameshire Bathaway, right? And that is why I think that way early on in 2022, when Cohen bought his, shares and he sold and all that, there was a lot that, there was a time where GameStop investors and Bed Bath investors were going at each other's necks. They did not like each other. They were fighting. There was constant, in subreddits, there was constant stuff on X. I mean, it was nonstop. It was really like this, my stock's better than yours type of mentality, right? And jump to today, years later, there is a lot of people who believe in this now. And there's a lot of GameStop OG investors who didn't see it at the time and didn't invest into Bed Bath because, again, they were looking at it. They're seeing the stock price fall, filing for bankruptcy, and they think it's over. But, you have the Bed Bath crowd, the PP crowd, who believes that there was something more to it, right? And jump to today, I think that you don't have these two communities at each other's necks anymore. It's very like everyone is kind of now in the stage of working together and starting to believe in whatever's happening here, because it took a few years for a lot of people to kind of get to that stage, right? So I do think that it's very important, how some of these people like Bill Pulte, Sultan Al Madid, really drive home, the Gameshire Bathway kind of angle here. Now, with this PCDD, it goes on to say, here's a short timeline. September of 2020, Teddy.com trademark is filed for provision of an online marketplace for buyers and sellers of goods and services. August of 2021, a second Teddy trademark is filed under the same online marketplace classification. Olshan Wolowski, a top M&A firm, brings to handle the filings here. 2022, Teddy.com goes live as a bookstore to honor Ted Cohen, which is his dad. Strong parallel to Amazon is being built here, echoing exactly what he said his larger plan is. 2023, we have a second book series come out, and I did point this out as well, Goatbeards. In 2023, when Bill Pulte was on the show showing his first volume books, his phone suddenly, quote unquote, died. And all of a sudden, within that same stream, and by the way, that was the same day that our subreddit had gotten taken down. I think we had over 20,000 people in our subreddit. That was the night, or that was the day that our subreddit got taken down. Bill Pulte joined the show that night, showed off his Teddy books, and sure enough, the moment he left, volume 2 of the Teddy books dropped that night. Okay. In my opinion, a very big signal to what's
not
to
a
come.
Coincidence.
Yeah, no way it's a coincidence. 2026, we have the trademark updated again to cover eBay's categories. So with all that said, when CEO of the same company comes out with a bid to take over eBay and turn into an Amazon rival, and many GameStop investors are saying this is alignment, then dismissing it as 10 is exactly the diligence they don't want you doing. There was actually a guy in the chat, right? Thomas the train, right? Thomas the shill was even saying that, this is all based on kids' stories, right? Like the $500 price tag and this and that.
And that's all we got.
And this is typically how, this side typically plays. Oh, these guys are insane. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're basing everything off of a kid's book. But the reality is that we have some of the smartest individuals in this community who have done the due diligence. We have people in programming who are finding connections to Fannie Mae via the bonds. We have a slew of other people who have written fantastic DD and things like that and made these connections. And obviously we have like the tinfoil side, which I'm a very big fan of myself, who have contributed over the years that makes this solid, right? This is not just we opened a book, saw a page and said we're going to be made whole. It doesn't work like that. This is years and years worth of due diligence with highly, highly intelligent individuals. And some of this other side, they don't want to admit that. So they kind of downplay it. These guys are dumb. They open up these Teddy books. That's what they base everything off of. But that's not the reality. And everyone who has been part of this community and who has done due diligence or read due diligence over the years knows it's a lot deeper than just some Teddy books, right? But the Teddy books do play a major role in the story.
So, PP, if I could interject real quick.
Sure. Yeah, please.
One thing that I wanted to bring up here, and this is an exercise I want to ask every GME investor to do anytime you experience any questions regarding GameStop. So the reason I made this post was I saw a couple of posts here and there about like Teddy books. and I'm writing DD about Teddy being this like holdco conglomerate, Berkshire Hathaway, and I'm realizing there's a strong disconnect in both things, right? So Shills try to say, I mean, the reason why we are following Teddy is because of what I've listed in this post, right? And that's always been the reason. The books came out in 2022. And that's when people were like, okay, I'm going to go buy the books. Let's see if, Cohen's doing any more memes or any more hints or some sort of forward guidance, because they don't issue any forward guidance, right?
Right. Yeah.
So at what point did talking about Teddy being a Berkshire Hathaway become just children's books, right? So then I asked myself, wait, are they right? Is Teddy just children's books? Am I investing in just children's books? And this is what people are saying. And then you kind of look at yourself. It's like, no. Cohen said he's building Berkshire. He's going to rival Amazon. Mm-hmm. Amazon started off as a bookstore. And Teddy Holdings has filings for things that are other than books.
And Berkshire Hathaway started by acquiring a textile company that had billions in Knowles. People forget that part as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Coincidentally, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think one comment also in the chat did mention that I did have a law firm wrong. They said it's
White and Case.
White and Case. That might be more. That might be accurate. So.
And by the way, like, you can't make this shit up. On the fucking top of the building of White and Case, okay, the same people. First of all, White and Case are the same people who brought the Hertz shareholders out of bankruptcy, right? And made them whole. And hold on, this is the best part. On the top of the fucking rooftop, there is a butterfly mural, and you cannot make this shit up.
Yeah, the craziest
on
shit,
the top of White and Case. Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, the craziest butterfly shit. As someone pointed this out on X, I almost shit my pants. Judge Papalia. Papalia.
What about him?
Dude, Papalia derives from a Latin root of like papala or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which literally means butterfly.
You can't make this shit up.
That is so schizophrenia inducing.
Yeah. Okay. If
we need medication.
Schizophrenic butterfly 10. Well,
Judge Butterfly
Larry Cheng's tweet.
Bankruptcy.
Yes, yeah, please go ahead. I got to use the bathroom again very badly. Just go ahead and I'll be back in 1 second. Go ahead. I got the stream on so I can hear it. Go ahead, go.
No, but I was saying, Wally, like, to your point, if we're going to talk about like things being 10, didn't Larry Cheng tweet out a Rorschach picture test of a butterfly at the top of the year?
I don't remember.
So at the top of the year, and I've retweeted this a bunch. I think a lot of GameStop investors missed this. Larry Cheng tweeted an image, and the image is an ink blot test, right? It's a psychiatric test, and like the psychiatrist asks you, "What do you see in this picture?"
Oh yeah.
But the picture he posted was very clearly a butterfly.
Interesting. I don't know how I forgot that.
I didn't even see it the first time. I didn't see it until I started writing content, and then I was like, okay, I should do some research. Let me go look at Larry Cheng's tweets for the past year. And then I'm like, wait, at the beginning of the year when they made the Berkshire framing, he posted a butterfly? So some things, I don't know. Some things don't really make sense there. But another topic I wanted to talk about before moving on, I think someone in the chat brought it up. And in chat, I'm reading your questions. So if you have any more questions, leave it here. But there were some discussions about Icon potentially being involved and maybe being one of the convertible bondholders. Now, I was doing some research on the gaming space today, and what I found really interesting, and I'm sure PP, you have a lot to add. But what I found really,
after you're done,
interesting is Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two, talks a lot about the gaming industry in his recent interviews. He talks a lot about hit rate. He talks a lot about IP. And in one of the interviews, he spends almost the entire interview talking about Carl Icahn, how Carl Icahn helped him take control of Take-Two, how he was dining with Carl Icahn and his wife daily, discussing how he's going to take over Take-Two, how to run the gaming industry, how marketplace models work, how hit rate works, how developing IP works. So you have an investor that Ryan Cohen is very close to, who has been extremely involved, not only in eBay, not only in Take-Two, but in the gaming space in general. So you're telling me this guy's sitting on the sidelines at 70 years old while his empire is in complete decline, lowest share price in history. and he's not making any investments, right? Or no way to turn it around. And especially at a time when one of the most famous activist investors of the time is going after what he wanted for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that's just a coincidence that I'm bringing up, but the overlap is significant.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I was saying, at the very least, Cohen met with Icon. Icon has that industry knowledge, right? That could have been divulged at the very least. That is a bare minimum that could have been divulged, right? Making the assumption that he's the buyer of the bonds, like that is like obviously like the top of the theory, like the craziest theory you could possibly get. But like the overlap is there. The connections are there.
There's also the fact that there are like the top firm that's involved in the bankruptcy is Proskauer Rose, who is straight connected to Icon, right? You even have some of the top people who are representing the estate, okay, that also represented Icon during his takeover of the Tropicana Casino during its bankruptcy, right? So there are a lot of parallels here. Now, because we're on the topic of Carl Icahn, I do want to just shift over to this real quick so you can take a look at this because I think you'll like this. I don't know if you had seen this, but this was actually posted from Hank E. Real quick, we got Fresh on X with the 2. Appreciate the love, Fresh. Who's complaining? I'm loving this discount window. You're not wrong. We got Crushed Orchid with the 10. Buy low, buy high. You can't really go wrong there, man. Take a look at this. Okay, I'm going to read this out for you. I don't know if you had seen this. This was from the IEP 10Q August 5th. Okay, so it was pretty recent. I'm going to read the highlighted parts for you here and would love to hear your opinion. So it says here, certain investment positions held by the investment funds may be illiquid. The investment funds may own restricted or non-publicly traded securities and securities traded on foreign exchanges. We may also have significant influence with respect to certain companies owned by the investment funds, including representation on the board of directors of certain companies, and may be subject to trading restrictions with respect to specific positions in the investment funds at any particular time. These investments and trading restrictions could prevent the investment funds from liquidating unfavorable positions promptly and subject the investment funds to substantial losses. It goes on to say, at any given time, the investment fund's assets may become highly concentrated within a particular company. Okay. Industry, asset, category, trading style, or financial or economic market. Now, it goes on to say, typically, our top holdings in the investment funds represent a significant percentage of our assets under management for investment segment. Therefore, a significant decline in the fair market values of our larger positions may have a material adverse impact on the consolidated financial position, results of operations or cash flows, and the trading price of our depository units. Now, hold on. Towards the bottom here, it says the prices of the financial instruments in which the investment funds may invest can be highly volatile. Price movements of forward and other derivative contracts in which the investment fund's assets may be invested are influenced by, among other things, interest rates, change in supply and demand relationships, trade, physical tariffs, monetary and exchange control programs, and policies of governments in national and international political and economic events and policies. Pursuant to the terms of our swap and other derivative agreements, certain events, including a voluntary or involuntary bankruptcy filing, involving the company issuing the securities referenced by such agreements, or a delisting of such reference securities. I mean, sounds like Bed Bath to me. Could give our derivative counterparties termination rights that would result in the closing of our swap positions and the realization of any and all losses. Even in the reference securities are not extinguished and therefore appreciate in value. The investment funds are subject to the risk of failure of any of the exchanges on which their positions trade, or of their clearing houses. Let me make this one a little bit bigger here for us. It goes on to say here, we may not be able to identify suitable investments, or investments may not result in favorable returns or may result in losses. It says the equity securities in which we may invest may include common stock, preferred stock, and securities convertible into common stock, as well as warrants to purchase these securities, right? So you have that warrants language as well. The debt securities in which we may invest may include bonds, debentures, notes, or non-rated mortgage-related securities, municipal obligations, bank debt, and mezzanine loans. Certain of these securities may include lower rated or non-rated securities, which may provide the potential for higher yields and therefore may entail higher risk and may include securities of bankrupt or distressed companies. In addition, we have and may continue to engage in various investment techniques, including derivatives, options, and future transactions, foreign currencies, transactions, short sales, and leveragings for other hedging or other purposes. We have reduced our market short positions in recent months, but may increase those positions in the future. We may concentrate our activities by owning significant or controlling interests in certain investments. We may not be successful in finding those suitable opportunities to invest our cash in, and our strategy of investing in undervalued assets may expose us to numerous risks. We have also highlighted here successful execution of our activist investment activities involve many risks, certain of which are outside of our control. Now, down in this section below it, it says that we avoid it says that we avoid triggering anti-takeover regulatory obstacles while aggregating our positions. 4, that management of portfolio companies and other security holders respond positively to our proposals. And 5, that the market price of the portfolio companies' securities increases in response to any actions taken by the portfolio companies. We cannot assure you that any of the foregoing will succeed. I think there's another snippet here as well. It says here the investment funds invested in distressed securities as well as bank loans and backed securities, mortgage-backed securities. The investment funds may invest in securities of the U.S. and non-U.S. issuers in weak financial condition experiencing poor operating results, having substantial capital needs or negative net worth, facing special competitive or product obsolescence problems, or that are involved in bankruptcy or reorganization proceedings. I mean, you can't make this shit up, man. Investments of this type may involve substantial financial, legal, and business risks that can result in substantial or at times even total losses. The market prices of such securities are subject to abrupt and erratic market movements and above average price volatility. It may take a number of years, okay? It's taken us 3 fucking years to get here, man, for the market price of such securities to reflect their intrinsic value. In liquidation, both in and out of bankruptcy, and other forms of corporate insolvency and reorganization, there exists the risk that the reorganization either will be unsuccessful due to, for example, failure to obtain requisite approvals, will be delayed, for example, until various liabilities, actual or contingent, have been satisfied, or will result in a distribution of cash, assets, or a new security, the value of which will be less than the purchase price, the investment funds of the security, in respect to which such distribution was made, and the terms of which may render such security illiquid. I mean, you literally cannot make this shit up. You have all these instances where, and this is a recent filing from IEP from 10Q, his 10Q as well, where we have a lot of people who have been researching IEP and they've never seen this kind of language in these 10Qs before. Even For the Win Biz is down here. He actually has a snippet. And he says, I pulled up every 10Q for the past 5 years. This is the first time they've ever mentioned anything that perfectly fits Bed Bath & Beyond. And this connects you back to, obviously, the potential where Carl Icahn and Ryan Cohen met for a reason. Real quick, Lancer with the PP membership for 39 months. Holy cow, appreciate your support. Beware of the shows in the community endlessly promoting suicide on EX. Maui Sam with the 100. Appreciate the love, Maui. RC Maui Sam wants to know, why won't you come on the PP show? Maui Sam says this is not too much to ask considering the Bed Bath hodl all the way to the Q and beyond. Many blessings to you, PP the chat, and your families. Maui Sam loves you. Appreciate the 100, Maui, and hope we'll get that message out to Ryan Cohen. What are your guys' thoughts, Goat Beards or Wally, on some of this language here used in this newly filed 10Q from IEP? Were you guys aware of this? How does it resonate with you with some of the things I read out there?
Go ahead, Goat.
I mean, this is news to me. I mean, it seems really interesting, the timing of it, and it coming out now. No other 10Qs having that language. What's interesting, too, is didn't we see that guarantor show up with the BBYQ bonds? Could that be what this is, maybe? I'm wondering that, but...
Oh, yeah, and it's linking, because it says mortgage-backed securities, too, and the fact that maybe there's a potential link to Fannie Mae. Yeah, yeah, it's a strong
you never
connection.
know how they've, posted their collateral for the investment. The interesting thing here is, we're really not going to know. no matter what happens, like we're really, really, really not going to know if these guys are involved with the entity until the very end. Jake has done some insane diligence on the topic and tracking it, but it seems very suspect, very, very suspect for this language to come out at this time, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how we could prove this out, kind of, right? It's kind of just like, oh, we'll see.
It's a shocker, man, for sure. All right, well, Goatbeards, I mean, if there's anything else you want to add, I know that we have Alpha State is joined in here. We also have he's no longer here. True Justice was in here earlier. I don't know if he's going to come back, but you're more than welcome to sit in while we cover some of this stuff. If you want to give some closing thoughts, that's fine too. We can bring in Alpha after you're done. It's up to you, Goatbeards. I mean, I gotta say, man, the DD's been spot on. We have over 520 people just listening on YouTube, a couple thousand on X. I strongly urge you guys to go out there, follow Goatbeards on X. He is writing up some fantastic articles, some fantastic DD that, more people need to get their eyes on. So Goatbeards, I mean, stage is yours, man. If there's anything that maybe we missed or anything that you'd like to add, or if you want to hang out you're more than welcome to give your closing thoughts, whatever you'd like to do, my man.
Well, I'm gonna head out after this. I'm just gonna say thank you so much, everyone, for having me here. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. Thank you for listening to my ideas. That is just such an unbelievable statement to say out loud. I feel extremely privileged for you guys to give me this opportunity. So thank you so much. And before I leave, I'm gonna make a point. A lot of people in the chat are asking when.
Mm-hmm.
Cohen told you this. You have a deadline on an instrument that you're holding. So when you have a VWAP period that was defined, you have a catalyst that was defined, you have an exercise date. That's always been the one since the day they were issued. And yeah, I'll just like to leave it there.
Right on. All right. And we also have the Bed Bath and Beyond warrants as well that were issued one day apart as well. And
let's see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Let's see how it plays out.
Right on. All right. Well, you heard it from Goatbeards here tonight. Goatbeards, enjoy the rest of the night. If you're on X, man, be sure to give him a follow, man. He deserves it. What a fantastic dude. Excellent stuff. Goatbeards, enjoy the rest of the night. Chat. Let's get some love for Goatbeards on the way out. And we hope to see you again on the PP show. By the way.
Thanks for showing
Anytime,
up, Goatbeards.
guys.
Great to have you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, man.
All right. See you soon, team. Bye.
All right, you heard it from Goatbeards, man. I mean, I gotta say, the guy is well spoken. How he lays everything out. Almost, in my opinion, at the level of like Jake 2B up there, right? In terms of like how he kind of, formulates his thoughts and his writing styles. I mean, very, very informative stuff. So I gotta say, man, hats off to Goatbeards out there. Fantastic stuff, man, here tonight. Let's go ahead and pull in Alpha State. We do have Alpha State with us as well. We do have a little bit more DD to cover as well here. So we'll go ahead and pull in Alpha State. We'll see. Look, we got Travis out there in the chat. Travis, why are you not on the show, my man? ABC is out in the chat on X as well.
I wish
the fellas are watching, but they're not on the show. They're not mic'd up. Yeah, go ahead.
You asked earlier about like what I thought about this. Honestly, I'm kind of numb to this sort of stuff because it's just like, wow, there's just another unbelievable coincidence, right? Like for the first time in 5 years, language that seems to directly reference the extinguished Bed Bath and Beyond equity is showing up in the IEP 10Q.
Right.
In the same in the reporting window that would be applicable for if something were to happen before it's sort of the September, the September 20th through October 30th window of like the 3-year anniversary date in mid-September to the warrant expiration for the BBBY and GameStop warrants. So the fact that this language exists in this 10Q, which would be relevant, especially
it's a big deal
right now.
Yeah.
It's just like one of these things like, oh yeah, that's just like unbelievable. And like, obviously we're on the right fucking side of this. But beyond that, it's just like, oh yeah, makes sense. I'm kind of numb to it. I wish ABC was here. I bet ABC would absolutely lose his mind.
Oh yeah.
On the PP show if he were to share his thoughts with what he thinks about this 10Q from IEP.
Oh yeah, he's the OG kind of Carl Icahn, guy who connected.
Got that bet with Pulte.
He does. That is true. He does. All right, let's go ahead and bring in Alpha State here. True Justice, I see you backstage. Sit tight. We'll bring you in towards the end, my man. Chat, let's give a warm welcome to Alpha State. Alpha State, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how's it going, guys? How you guys doing?
Just hanging out, man. Welcome to the PPShow.
Nice. Yeah, I was planning on maybe coming in earlier, but I had a few things, so I figured I'd just jump on. But I don't know how long you plan to stream or not.
Maybe about 30 or so minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we could. I don't.
What do you have for us?
Well, I think I might have some timelines, possibly.
All right, let's take a look at it. Yeah, if you want to share your screen, we're all ears tonight. Let's see it.
Sure.
We always
love. Try to be quick. If you need me to stop, please, PP, tell me to stop because I'll keep talking sometimes.
No, that's okay, man. Yeah, please share whatever you have for us tonight.
Okay.
Someone said give him 4 hours, please, PP. We got 50 Deuce 7574 with the 5. Appreciate the love, 50 Deuce. Kaz keeps showing up as my sleep paralysis demon. He stands at the foot of my bed yelling BBBYQ, 3B and Y, that crazy fucker. I heard he's running for governor of New York or something.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on here, man? All right. PP's going to run for governor of Texas. How does that sound? All right. Lay it on us, man. What do you have for us here tonight? Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah. I think
we got your screen up. Let's see.
Okay, cool. I'll try to burn through this a little bit, but I kind of have to give a little bit of a slightly background. But,
sure.
Yeah. So I'll read, it'll be a few Q posts, some from the US Debt Clock, and then Ryan Cohen, and I think that's pretty much it. So I guess just to kind of put everything up front, I think, and we've been talking about this before, but I think September, October, November, I mean, who knows? This is, again, a theory, like I could totally be wrong on all this, but it seems like a lot of things are lining up. I'll read you some Q posts to kind of, maybe support those ideas. So I think a lot can happen during September, November, and October. And I'll kind of read it and piece things together.
Sure.
And it's going to be in tandem with the political side and the economic side, is my theory. So if you read here, it says, breaking, Trump declines to rule out declaring a national security emergency to control the 2026 election per CNN. Now, we all kind of have to consider Bill Pulte's role as DNI. Remember, he was just like making mass sweeps of firing of deep staters in the IC. And of course, he talked about foreign influence, not only in the markets, but the election. So the election is going to be pretty critical, especially the midterms. And again, I don't want to bore people to death to some extent, but it is all connected. And if you think about it too, like I think what possibly could be coming out is a big exposure operation, because really what the midterms is going to do, if we say we get a bunch of like the pro-Americans, MAGA first people, the ones that are actually there to support Trump's agenda, which would be like clarity and all that stuff. And in a way, I don't think any of that stuff really matters if it passes or not, because there's so many contingencies that Trump already has at his disposal. It doesn't even matter. And I'll show you a post that kind of demonstrates that with what's occurring with the SEC and the CFTC. And a few other things too.
And I do want to add as well, I did see today that the SEC came out and said that, we're not waiting any longer for the Clarity Act.
Yep.
We're ready to tokenize things. This has always been, in my opinion, part of the plan. The people who have been kind of placed in their positions, you even see Paul Atkins at the SEC, they're like, we're no longer waiting for this, right? Obviously, there's this fight back and forth between this Clarity Act. SEC is allowing it to be greenlit. So I just wanted to add that as well.
That totally relates, dude. It's exactly relates to what I'm talking about and kind of bringing up here. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
So in a way, like the Clarity Act and the Save America Act, they're both pretty much been stalled because of the congressional recess, right? Going through August and leading into September. And I think all this is obviously going to be timed. I think a lot of this, to be honest, even if it's from people that we feel like aren't on our team, I feel like all this stuff is timed. So the reason why I bring this up is because it relates to a few very interesting things that Q stated in the past in 2020, and the dates line up to now. Before I go into this really quick, just keep this in mind. So again, Trump declines to rule out declaring a national security emergency to control the 2026 election. And just think of what's coming out now with the swing states, the voter fraud, In California, what Bill Pulte has been releasing. So it's evident that there's election fraud that's been occurring. And it's been going on for decades. So then if we go here, this is from Ripcord saying, just a reminder that we're already under a national emergency with respect to foreign interference in our elections. Executive Order 13848 is still in effect until September 12th, 2026. Now, I don't know if it's fully in effect or not, but this is part of it too, right? The National Emergencies Act here. And remember what Bill Pulte released, and he even talked about in that tweet that there might be foreign influence in our markets and the elections. And this is Executive Order 13848, imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in the United States election. And what also came out was a coordination between all these swing states and Democrat, pretty much the swing states and a lot of these Democrat cities, like Los Angeles is one that's being highlighted, has been effectively cooperating or working in tandem with our foreign adversaries like China, Venezuela, and those. So, and I said this before, what's ultimately going to come out, and I'm not trying to be political here, is that the Democrat Party, they're already being exposed right now, but they're going to be labeled as a terrorist organization. And they've committed, and many of them used our taxpayer dollars to fund terrorism. So, and the overthrow of the government. So put that aside for a second. So we're kind of going up to the midterms, 11-3. Now, this is pretty interesting here. So Trump writes, he who saves his country does not violate any law. And again, he's still not discounting the idea of declaring a national security emergency for the elections, the midterms. Now, if we go here, and I know it's a little smaller, so I'll read it. So this is November 1st. Now, we're going to get to October. I think a lot's going to come out in October. I think that's possibly when the market transition happens, when we have a black swan. It goes into Red October, which you can kind of equate to the markets as well. There's a lot of damning things that could come out in the October surprise leading up to the midterms election. So, so the current date of the midterm election this year is 11-3, and that's a big marker to Q. This is posted 2 days earlier on November 1st. It says, Q Clearance Patriot, my fellow Americans. Okay, now again, going back, we got to always keep this in mind. Trump declines to rule out declaring a national security emergency to control the 2026 election.
What does that mean exactly?
So he can use the National Guard and even aspects of the military to basically regulate at least oversee the election so that no fraud occurs, and also possibly to make arrests, depending on the egregiousness of it, right? So, and again, like, I mean, there's a lot of fraud that's been happening, and if people just look back to 2020, they could see what occurred that time. But so again, he could use the military to basically intervene to some extent, and it's not to stop it, it's to make sure that those that are voting are actually registered, legitimate citizens registered to vote. So that's, and you can imagine that this just makes sense at a country. Like, all these countries don't have mass immigration voters, right? So if we go here, again, this is November 1st, and it's going to start making sense. Just keep that in mind, that he might declare a national emergency during the election. So my fellow Americans, and again, this is November 1st, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we are taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. On POTUS's order, we have initiated certain fail-safes that it shall safeguard the public from the primary fallout, which is slated to occur 11-3. Now, this is the date of the midterm elections this year, November 3rd. Upon the arrest and announcement of Mr. Podesta, we already know he had a sealed indictment going all the way back to November 2017. Actionable 11-4. Confirmation to the public of what is occurring will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. Public riots are being organized in serious numbers in an effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS's order, a state of this is what it relates to what I was reading you guys here. So this right here, Trump declines to rule out declaring a national security emergency to control the 2026 election. So if we read here, on POTUS's order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessity. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of every man, woman, and child of this country is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided, as so many have been fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has long been broadcast. We will be initiating the emergency broadcast system during this time in an effort to provide a direct message avoiding the fake news to all citizens. Organizations and/or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been pre-lifted to provide our great military the necessary authority to handle and conduct these operations at home and abroad. Again, it kind of goes back here too. He who saves his country does not violate any law. Certain laws have been pre-lifted. Now, to continue, I'm going to start wrapping this up and connect it to the investment side. So here is the 11.3 marker. The only way is the military. Think about it logically. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread. Once 11.3 verifies his first marker, biggest advanced drop on poll. And then Trump writes November 3rd. And there's a mirror going on with 2020 and 2026 because the dates all line up. All systems go.
I like it. Real quick, let me read these tips here. We got 5 Deuce with the 5. I'm more excited than Joe Biden in a Chuck E. Cheese bathroom. Appreciate the 5. We got Beyond Regarder with the 5. Alpha State with the smooth radio DJ voice, kind of like if Casey Kasem had a baby with Ryan Cohen. I don't know who Casey Kasem is, but
it sounds like a compliment. I don't know who it is either.
Right on. Go ahead, Alpha.
All right, so it's going to connect because Bill Pulte is going to be connected to this, right? So this is talking about the 11.3 marker. Important people to understand for future events. All assets, foreign and domestic, deployed. Democrats plus China equals 11.3. And again, this is what came out by Bill Pulte from the DNI, was the Democrats basically colluding with China. And China showed up, the CCP influence in the elections just within the last week or two. So this is all coming out, right?
Yeah.
And right here, America needs to see accountability. Let them all go and let them go, and they will do it again. And this is from Trump. Newly released documents open a path of true origin of Russia hoax. So all the stuff's coming out. Basically, the whole Russia collusion hoax we already know has been a lie. Now, why I want it? So that's 11.3. Now, if we take one step back to October, okay. So just imagine I'm kind of putting the horse before the cart or whatever it is.
Sure.
If we go to red October, now even think of the market side, red. And even if you think about all the market crashes, I think most of them were in October, weren't they? Like our big historical.
Yes. Yeah. They all predate to about October. Yes.
Around there, right?
Yeah.
I think even the housing crisis of 08, I think the crash was even October, if I'm not mistaken. I
believe that is possibly correct. Yes. I would need to look it up, but that sounds about right.
When do the warrants expire?
Exactly, right?
October.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, look at that.
So all this is connected. And if we know this is, and it's kind of a side tangent here really quick, but I just want to point out that Trump's declassed everything. And this goes even before 2020. So he says, I fully authorize a total declassification of all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history. And this was back in 2020. Yeah. We know this goes back further. But what I'm getting at is that this is a massive operation. And if we go here, this is a Q post saying, even though Trump has said this, the hunters become the hunted. This is exactly what Trump has said a few times. And the White House has posted this, Patriots in Control. Red October down here. And then there's another, this one is actually probably the most important one, which is this one. Let me just click this here. Okay, so remember the power to the people, power to the players? So you were witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard to power to the people, Red October. And what's the banner of Ryan Cohen's banner on Twitter?
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's funny, Wally Buck said the warrants, because that was my next thing. So it pretty much lines up, right? October seems like to be a very consequential month. And again, we're kind of all thinking this. Black swans are real, plan accordingly. And there's a massive AI bubble occurring right now too. The yen carry trade, even what's going on with the oil futures market, there's a lot happening in the economy. So, and again, most of the crashes happen in October, and this is the month just before the election. So there's a lot of things lining up.
And can I add something too with Ryan Peterson? He was just talking about butterflies, I think today.
Yeah,
I saw your post.
Crazy.
Yeah. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that?
Let me oh shit, I just exited out of one. I hope that wasn't it. There was one with Ryan Peterson.
He basically, I think the tweet, this is a pretty accurate paraphrase. He's like, yeah, some guy just made $168 billion in the last 6 months, and now he's taking pictures of butterflies.
Yeah.
Well, yes. And the guy also was barbecuing. Here it is right here. Let me pull this one up just real quick. Sorry. I just need to throw this in here real quick if I can. Take a look at this since we're on the topic of Ryan Peterson. So Oops, here it is. This guy made 185 billion in profit in 6 months and is tweeting about butterflies. Okay. Also, you have the same guy here. This is from Teddy Beer. It says BBB or barbecue and butterfly. And here you have the same guy who's posting photos of barbecuing, right? I mean, I don't know. Is it a connection? Possibly, right? I mean, I think it's all very interesting. So I'll come back and pull yours back up. Ryan Peterson has been an interesting one. And he also had butterflies in his background photo at one point, 2024, I believe.
Yeah, in the children's books, you know, lining with Teddy and Kash Patel's children's books and others, right? The same kind of people.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much almost done, but so it kind of goes to this. I'm not going to play the video because you guys saw it, but it leads. Remember when Ryan Cohen paused when they asked him if you're waiting for a market crash?
Yes.
And he paused for like 5 seconds.
He did.
Right. And he said, you never know what's going to happen in the markets. So, you know, and Trump's even said, we talked about this before. Trump said, why buy things when they're expensive? Just wait till they get cheap and then just buy them up then. You know, it's kind of the mantra that a lot of the investors that we look up to, you know, like the icons, all of them pretty much find a very cheap assets to buy in the hopes that, you know, whether it's a long-term investment or something that they can appreciate really quick and they see value in it. So I think something, you know, again, this could line up with October. Again, red October, think of the market. We're leading into November. And I think it's going to be kind of a double. I think it's kind of a bigger operation than we think. And to round it out, this is what you guys were talking about, or you were talking about. SEC Chair Atkins set to unveil major crypto rules and regulatory plans, right? So they're moving forward with all this, even the SAVE Act. And the reason why Trump is not discounting the idea of declaring a national security emergency with the elections is because if the SAVE Act stalls, that's the only option. So one way or the other, we're basically going to get the Clarity Act and the SAVE Act either through Congress or not without them.
It's happening no matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all tied together because we're taking away their money. We're taking away this racketeering network's money and also making sure that they don't get a stranglehold of our political system. It's kind of a combo.
Wow. Right.
And then we look at here, the Great Jubilee Wealth Transfer, this from the U.S. debt clock. Another one here is the Great Silver Breakout. And look at the date down here. This is 2026 with the per ounce value of $1,180. So it's this year. This is what it's saying in this post, right? And then we have the great transition from the debt-based dollar to the asset-backed dollar. We have the USA racketeer justice, right? You don't understand who you're dealing with. We can deploy multiple disruptive measures. And Trump says, and I know the perfect remedy. We have many intermittent slots open at Gitmo, right? And this all fits. This is like, because again, this is the bridge between the political and the monetary system. It's one of the same. They fund each other, you know, and the blackmail network is funded through the banks. And, you know, we can go through all that stuff, right? With JP Morgan and the market maker and the Clintons and the Epsteins, they're all tied together, right? And then here's the other one, cartel squeeze tactics. How do I fight an enemy with no borders and worldwide sovereign immunity? And then Patton says, strike them covertly, right? Think of art of war to start, expose their weakness. And I think that's a lot what's going on with Iran it's actually an economic war, crush their motivation to fight. And then the last one I'm going to put is this one. So we're talking about Red October. We're talking about November in the midterm. And then this is Teddy makes Thanksgiving great again. And what does there's the DOJ is currently in eBay right now. It's the deferred prosecution agreement and it expires in January of 2027. So I would imagine that if Ryan Cohen or GameStop acquires eBay at some point before 2027, then the DOJ is already there and they can definitely hold the board accountable. And that's the DPAs established the bare minimum requirements of eBay and these other companies to basically work with the Justice Department. JP Morgan even entered a DPA with a prosecutor that just came out recently, again in the news. And that was for like market manipulation, but it also ties to the broader connections with the Clinton Foundation, all that kind of stuff. Now, Ryan Cohen can kind of use the same strategy. If the DOJ is already there, you don't need to go through court or anything. They're already there. So you can imagine that if anything needs to be exposed, like maybe a corrupt board, and maybe they're doing something more nefarious than we realize, well, Ryan Cohen will definitely work with the DOJ. It's not like he's not going to, he has to work with them if he acquires eBay before 2027. Like he can't avoid that. So, you know, I think that could be a possibility too. So,
and I find it interesting as well that the photo of Carl Icahn and Ryan happened to be in October 18th, right?
Yeah.
And then also 17th.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that our shares were pulled in that mid-October 8th, I think it was October 18th was the day that they pulled the shares actually out of our account. So,
and he deleted that picture too, right? I think Ryan Cohen did.
I think that's what some people were saying. Yeah. Andrew out here also just want to highlight this comment. He says, Norgie's bank bought Credit Suisse's primary worldwide headquarters complex and holds a 1.3% stake back in 22-23 and now is one of the biggest backers of UBS as well. Very interesting stuff.
Interesting.
Anything else you want to add, Alpha?
I think that's it. You know, I mean, this is, who knows what the timeline is going to be. This is all a guess, but, you know, it seems like there's going to be a lot that possibly can come out leading up to October. And I guess the final thing I'll say, because this, I forgot, this actually relates and track. Let's see if I could find it here on the side.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see.
Justice. Oh, I see. Set his alarm. Got to type this in exactly. I think you guys might actually like this. Okay. So last thing here. So this is September. Okay, we're talking about September, October, November.
Yes.
This is Q, right? So let me do this. So equal justice under the law as written. And again, like Trump's he's definitely going to use him. He can totally use the military for this stuff if there's matters of national security. Remember, Scott Bassett said the economy is a national security issue. So all these kind of fall in line. Transparency, disclosure, and accountability justice is the only way forward. Future of a republic at stake. Watergate times 1,000. September, and these are some dates here. September 14th to 18th, which actually lines up to Monday to Friday. 21 to 25, also Monday to Friday. Track and follow events. Did Kevin set his alarm? And this was referring to a tweet by Kevin Cork, who's a reporter on Fox. And he said, I heard from an inside source that there's going to be indictments coming, but wake me up when, basically like wake me up when it happens, you know? And so this is what Q's responding to, saying, hey, did you set your alarm? So
good stuff, man.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
I like it. Good stuff, man. Excellent. Well, Alpha, any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to add for the good people at home? There's a couple more posts here. We're going to pull in True Justice here for the closer. Anything else you'd like to add, Alpha? I mean, we've got some great people coming on tonight. Let's hear it, Alpha. Any closing thoughts?
Nice. Yeah. You know, it's kind of what I've already gone over. I think even that there's that trial that came up. I think the California Franchise Tax Board is going to go to trial with DK Butterfly. And I don't think that's going to delay anything.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it matters, even if it goes to December. It's all kind of irrelevant, to be honest, at that point. But yeah, I think we're kind of at the end stage, guys. And, you know, if we start seeing some interesting things come out in September and October, then, you know, maybe something's there. And if there's a lot of crazy stuff that comes out, then, and people start getting arrested at some point, then I don't think people are really going to care if the market crashes or there's a flash crash. I don't think anyone's going to give a crap. Right. You know, if people are being held accountable. So keep it up. I love you guys. And I think we're kind of near the end here.
All right. Right on. You heard it from Alpha State, chat. Let's get some love for Alpha on the way out, man. Alpha, it's always a pleasure. Please feel free to stop by the PP Show anytime, my man.
Will do, man. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, PP.
Wow. Good stuff, man, from Alpha as well. Before we go, there is a True Justice. If you can hear us out there, you got to rejoin the show. We don't see you on here. I do have a little bit more DD that I do want to cover. Wally, you still got a few minutes?
Yeah. After you finish up your DD, I'll go through I've got those slides. I'll share.
Yes. Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah. There's no rush. Let me just pull this up real quick. I know that Travis had highlighted a couple good things out there as well. I just want to cover some of this important stuff real quick here. So hold on one second. So Travis had made a post. He tagged Jake2B. He said, I found something a little helpful for your 50% argument. It does have to do with the Gibbons lawsuit back in 5/26/23. Where we did see the worthless stock deduction by a 50% owner. Email correspondence with Kirkland and Ellis regarding questions on the basis for not including restriction on worthless stock deductions of majority holders. Now, the interesting thing that he had attached to this was the 3-year testing period would then be the date of his disposition in order to execute a standard recapitalization. His disposition was August 16th and 17th of 2022, which again, we're coming up on that date about 4 days, which would make the date 8/18 2018. After that, his sale no longer counts towards an ownership shift. Okay. What Travis goes on to say is the 3-year testing for the estate would still be September 30th of 2026. Okay, the date that the plan was consummated, but that's for the estate, not for Ryan. Okay, again, that's a 382 I5 versus 382 I6. That explains why he won't answer my emails. I hope Jake saw this out there. He did not respond to it, but that was also a great piece of DD from Travis out there as well. I did want to cover this. Dirt Evader out there as well has been doing some very good work in terms of some of this, some of the findings in terms of the maritime lawsuits as well. Docket 25 to 20, or sorry, 2525, DK Butterfly versus CMA. There has been another confidential settlement filed for the approval of 7th of August, 2026 in the federal maritime cases as well. I believe this is a different docket than what Available Werewolf had posted, which also is a great guy out there also doing it. Travis in the chat, I heard my name. Yes, good stuff, Travis. We like it. Dirt Evader and also Available Werewolf have really been on top of the maritime lawsuits. Specifically when it comes to Available Werewolf, he had actually found that someone had leaked the confidential docket, and he actually did get access to it. And there is money flowing into the estate as we speak when it comes to the maritime lawsuits as well. So that's just more money flowing into the estate currently. Okay. And here it is right here, actually, from Available Werewolf. Someone at the FMC is getting fired. They intentionally or unintentionally posted DK Butterfly's confidential version of the shipping lawsuit. I waited for it to be taken down to post about it. And you can see here, I think this is the same one, possibly with the CMA. It was confidential, the settlement, and that was also on the 7th, which was about a week ago. And it has been leaked. Okay, someone accidentally leaked that, and the money is flowing to the estate. Let me just cover UCopy's post as well. UCopy made a post, Bed Bath Q registered offering means offering shares broadly to investors. This new rule helps an issuer ability to switch from private offering to registering offering. There are many controversy where Bed Bath & Beyond shareholders will get paid cash or shares, but it seems like it's going to be both. UCopy has the section highlighted here. It says from the summary, the Securities Exchange Commission in adopting new Rule 155 under Securities Act to provide safe harbors for a registered offering following an abandoned private offering, or a private offering following an abandoned registered offering without integrating the registered and private offerings in either case. The new rule is intended to enhance an issuer's ability to switch from private offering to a registered offering or vice versa in response to changing market conditions. Okay. And then UCopy has this highlighted here. The registered offering, it prepares and files a prospectus, goes through the applicable regulatory process, and offers shares broadly to investors. Private offering, it raised the $50 million from, say, institutional investors or other qualifying investors under a prospectus exemption. Okay. Also another snippet that I feel like needs to be highlighted. There was some tinfoil this week as well pertaining to BBBYVXX. And I know that you probably remember this, Travis. I don't know if Travis is still on the chat. Would love if you were on the show, but I know you have some stuff going on tonight. But do you remember when Bill posted, what was it, like the W or the V? I think it was a V, actually, is what it was. But here you see it's for $100 listed here. I don't know if Travis is still in the chat. In my opinion, the first thing that came to mind is at that first Pulte event that people came to, there was a $100 cash back to attendees that came up and who were taking photos with us. They received $100 back. I can't help but think that this is connected to that, especially the fact that I think it was a V that he had posted initially as well. But here you see BBBYVXX with the $100 here, which we've always believed it could be maybe the cash side of the deal as well. So something also very important to pay attention. He says, I'm here. Yeah, you remember the V thing? I think that could be the V that we've been waiting on for the last couple of years. So, Call Me Dragon in the chat says Travis blocked me. Right on. Call Me Dragon's awesome, Travis. You should unblock him. All right. What am I missing here? There was an update with Judge Papalia as well. I'm just going to breeze through this DD so that
shout out to Spurious. This is a great share.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I actually tried to get Spurious on tonight. He unfortunately couldn't make it, but we'll go and read his DD here tonight. Spurious Bunker says Bed Bath Q hearing, which was yesterday, 8/11. These are some updates. The main matter to put to bed today was between Safety National Casualty Corporation and the plaintiff in docket 4766. Halmy, a customer who was injured in Bed Bath store. The case came up in more detail in the hearing of 60926. Plaintiff finally settled directly with the insurance company, not the estate. So a $30 million claim in question has now been officially wiped from the estate's debt. Okay, so we're not paying that out. Judge Papalia, or Judge Butterfly as I should say it, today approved a stipulation and certification of no objection to allow this to proceed. Great. There was also another matter originally up for today, but that has also been resolved. The outcome was some potential attorney fees, but no settlement due from the estate for the claim. Claimant waived their claim against the estate, so that's positive. For the 34th omnibus objection to claims, administrative claims, all claims other than the Blue Yonder and Salesforce has been resolved. And those last two are up for 8/18, one day after we're coming up on the date of RC selling his shares. Judge Papalia, after addressing these matters, you guys are almost bringing this home, right? It's almost done. Aaron Gray says, don't say that. I don't want you to jinx it. We are whittling away at the administrative claims, Your Honor. Almost there, you guys. There was a fantastic follow-up post here from Trevor Hovard out there, Trevor IRL. It says, as always, thank you for the attention to this matter and for sharing it. It really is the final stretch. The Bed Bath ticker is getting freed up on August 17th, which we didn't even talk about tonight as well. This is like a huge deal in my opinion. The fact that, look, I've traded the markets for many, many years. Okay. I have never once in my history of trading stocks, okay, have I ever seen a public company change its name 4 times. Okay. This is highly unusual. And what I'm talking about specifically is the Overstock Bed Bath & Beyond new. Okay. They have changed their name to, what is it now? In Neighborhood Intelligence. Is that right, Wally?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, something completely bizarre. And also keep in mind, one day before that announcement, Ryan Cohen followed Bill Pulte while he was still national director, of national intelligence, which has that national connection, right? Neighborhood intelligence, right? It has that like an intelligence connection. That was one day prior to them announcing that. And on that same day, Bill Pulte stepped down from director of national intelligence so that Jay Clayton could come up as well. I mean, no way that's a coincidence.
It's what's also interesting is it's from the BBBY news side of the house with neighborhood intelligence. It's clearly been something that Marcus Lemonis has been wanting to do for some time. Him reclaiming the bed, like them taking the Bed Bath & Beyond brand was objectively bad for their business. Like, if you remember what happened after Overstock won the Bed Bath & Beyond IP, they tore down overstock.com and put everything inside of bedbathandbeyond.com, and their stock tanked because like they lost all of their accumulated brand identity and value.
I remember that.
Overstock customers were like, well, Overstock's gone. They didn't bring all of their Overstock customers into Bed Bath & Beyond. And they acknowledged that in earnings calls like that. Yep, that was a mistake. Well, was it a mistake? Well, it was clearly a mistake in terms of quarter over quarter business growth and performance. And then when Marcus Lemonis and Bed Bath & Beyond knew, they came up with that baby token, which in the baby token, the idea with that is to have it basically provide royalties. I think it's 1% of revenue to token holders, and that's just now starting to. It's much closer to trading now. I think the initial issuance was happening, and then trading on T0. So there's been a lot of progress there. It's been delayed quite a bit, but at the point in time where Marcus Lemonis was sort of talking to share, like in quarterly earnings calls, talking about this token that they're going to be providing to the markets for people to hold. He also hosted a number of X spaces where he's talking about his performance incentives and just what his vision for the company is. And he talked a lot about, what is it, Medici Ventures, their blockchain research technology division of Overstock, I think it's Medici Ventures, I think was what it is, or Medici.
It's Medici
something.
Yeah, I think.
But they've got Grain Chain, they've got T0, they've got a number of blockchain investments, and in the X spaces, what Marcus Lemonis was talking about more so than anything was the opportunity he saw with the business that was named Bed Bath & Beyond, but his vision for it was like, what we really want to do is, and I'm really sort of over distilling this in order to just kind of get through it briefly, but basically what he said is his vision with the company that he's leading is to essentially provide homeowners with a blockchain wallet that you have on your phone that allows for you to authenticate real world assets that you have in your house, your couch, your TV, custom cabinetry that you may have in there, upload pictures, authenticate it, put your receipts in from the contractors that did it, so you can really manage and sort of really granularly manage and upload onto a single platform every little unique aspect of your house that makes it valuable in order to use those as assets to justify the origination of loans, to be able to provide an improvement on sort of the home lending and home equity market, where because underwriting loans, underwriting insurance, it's all a data game. Like the more data somebody that has when they're trying to underwrite something, the better, the more likely they're going to be in underwriting either a good loan or denying a bad loan. And the better they do, the lower the interest can be. So so he was talking about that. I don't know, it's been a year or 2 years since he was hosting those spaces. And now that they're renaming to Neighborhood Intelligence, what he was talking about then makes much more sense in the context of a brand named Neighborhood Intelligence. And he was clearly thinking about that 2 years ago. Why the hell did they maintain the ticker of BBBY and continue doing business under that name, when what the hell does Bed Bath & Beyond have to do with the technology portfolio to allow for you to take pictures of and categorize little niche specific things within
highly
your home?
Unusual. Yeah.
It's very, the whole thing objectively was a massive brand misalignment, and it destroyed shareholder value for Overstock. Like that just is what happened. But it's so interesting to see them now surrender the ticker, in this timeline where, the 3-year anniversary, September 20th through 30th is kind of really interesting, where I forget the name, like the plan origination date, or when it was originally submitted, was like on a Saturday, which I think was from Jake's space, or I'm remembering correctly, was like September 21st. The DK Butterfly estate is named DK Butterfly 09302022. So there's that interesting window of September 20th through 30th where the plan was emerged and then the plan was finalized and those entities were created and named.
And also, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like, so you've got those 3-year anniversary dates, the October warrants, the BBBY ticker that's finally been released by a company that's been trying to have its identity really be, and the value they add, be a neighborhood intelligence type company. Now the ticker is going to be available during that window. Also during that window, we have this fucking IEP thing that pops up out of nowhere.
Yes.
It's timing. Just like,
it's launch stacking.
It's launched. The thing I'm looking forward to now is like, let's get this 16B lawsuit settled and let's fucking ride. And that's all. It's all very interesting. And the ticker thing and BBBY, Overstock, Marcus Lemonis, like it's just unbelievable.
And I want to add as well the famous Bill Pulte Office episode that we did, where he put on a spacesuit, held up the teddy books, all that stuff. That was September 25th. 4 days later, we would get a planned consummation, effectively canceling our shares. So the timing of everything is highly, highly unusual, especially the fact that even NoPi pointed this out of analyzing tens of thousands of stocks that have filed for bankruptcy. Not a single one has placed the date in their name. Okay. So Wally makes a good point. The September, I think it's September 29, 2023. And then it says DK Butterfly. That is something that is highly unusual. And no other stock that has ever filed for bankruptcy has done this. And not only that, if you really want to get into it, when you start to compare like what Wally is saying, the change of the names, right? And then you also have the fact that GME issues these warrants. Okay, one day later, Bed Bath & Beyond issues these warrants, and they happen to be the 1550 cash that we see in the Teddy books.
And real
you
quick,
can't make it up. You can't make this shit up.
And Bed Bath & Beyond Overstock, the company who's like there's all this random synchronicity and strangeness with, also happens to be the legacy of it is Patrick Byrne's battle with naked short sellers from last decade.
That's
right?
a good point.
And what happened there? Right? What happened there? It was he spent a bunch of his own money and developed a novel way to have a series of events result in a mechanical squeeze, taking Overstock in I think 2018, 2019 from like $2 up to $80, and then the short sellers tried to sue him, and it set precedent. It turned out what he did was okay.
Yep.
So the odds of the company that held really, what's another company that's held short sellers accountable in that way? Like, I mean, there's been other companies that have squeezed, but who's actually fought back by doing anything other than like just doubling down and solidifying business fundamentals over literally a decade? Like, if you want to see what fighting back against shorts, look at Tesla's stock price, right? It traded flat for a decade, and then they were successful with the Model 3 launch, and the stock went from $20 to $700, adjusted for splits. So that's not exactly fighting back against the shorts. That's just proving them wrong. But it took 12 years, right? Like, so there's plenty of stories where that happened. Maybe not plenty, but there's lots of squeezes that have played out. But what's another company that's done what Overstock has done? And I've not done all the research, but I've not heard of another one. There's been ones that have tried that have failed. So what are the chances of it being that company that gets the Bed Bath & Beyond IP, that destroys their brand, destroys shareholder value by going all in on the brand that they got from IP, just basically destroying the legacy Overstock business, then creating a token and to issue to shareholders to do something in a novel way on the T0 platform, the same platform that caused the mechanical squeeze for shorts back in 2018. And then for the CEO who's releasing this token to get all excited about all of these things he's doing from a neighborhood intelligence perspective, but sitting on his hands for 2 years and waiting to rename his actual company to Neighborhood Intelligence after giving back the IP, essentially giving back the ticker that destroyed shareholders' value so that it can be available during what looks like a redemption video for us here with what we got.
I mean, it lines up, right? And like Trevor says here, the Bed Bath ticker is getting freed up on August 17th. Okay, hold on. IEP earnings is August 17th. And Ryan Cohen sold his position in 2022 on August 17th/18th.
And with the IEP connection, I mean, just look at what happened with what was it? The Nuremberg shorting people?
It was
Heidenberg.
Was it Heisenberg? No, it wasn't Hindenburg.
Heisenberg.
Yeah, you watch too much Breaking Bad.
Yeah, so like the whole thing with IEP getting shorted down from $50 down to fucking nothing, and with Hindenburg Research going after them. So there's the whole IEP, Carl Icahn, Ryan Cohen thing, and the SEC looked into what happened with IEP and gave Carl Icahn a slap on the wrist. They fined him like $1 or $2 million for like filing something late. That's the only malfeasance that they found after these short sellers went after IEP, and the stock went down 80% in a year, right? Yeah. So is it gonna? I don't know. It's just like the shorts, GameStop hit by shorts, Bed Bath & Beyond hit by shorts, IEP hit by shorts, and before all of them were hit by shorts, it was Overstock, and then Overstock is Bed Bath and Beyond. Destroy, it's all fucking insane, PP.
You're telling me, man, like, fuck, it's been one crazy last couple years. I mean, I don't know what to make of it, but look, I think a lot of people are going to make money, and this is my own opinion. A lot of people are going to become millionaires overnight. And look, I don't think that anyone deserves praise or anything. If you made it this far, you believed, you bought the stock, you held the stock, you deserve all the glory out there, man. Don't come around thanking me or anyone else for that matter. Yes, we created the show, and we have a fantastic community here who gets together and shares DD, but it's not one singular person who pulled this off. It's a collective of everyone who over the years, did the DD due diligence and shared the thesis. I mean, I cannot wait to see how many people make millions and millions of dollars and what you guys spend that money on. It goes on to say here that the Clarity Act or the 3rd-year anniversary of the planned reorganization hits on September 14th. Clarity Act is set to be voted on September 15th. Someone is guaranteeing the bonds for Class 6. Bed Bath ticker is also resurfacing on Robinhood and also Market Screener. Do you want to go ahead and show your thing? I got to take a piss very badly. I've been drinking a bunch of water today. I'm just going to give this a quick recap here. We did have a PP signal from the U.S. Department of Education. Of all places, man, PP learned to read, man, over the last couple of years. Power up partnerships. My opinion, it could be a PP signal. Maybe it's not. This is a large one right here from the U.S. Department of Interior. They're talking about fucking butterflies, for God's sakes, okay, that you can see here on your screens. It says the monarch migration is about to begin. Along the way, they depend on native flowering plants to rest and refuel. Planting native wildflowers and milkweed in your yard or in your community is one way to help these remarkable travelers complete their journey. So I think it's a signal. We're about to, complete our journey. And butterfly is going to happen. Crush Orchid with the 5. Heisenberg, laugh out louds. That's my meth dealer. All right. If you want to, I love it. If you want to show your stuff, Wally, if you want to share your screen or get it ready, I got to use the bathroom really quickly. Real quick, a big shout out to BBBYQ out there for the 741 finding as well. You can see here, this is a filing from 7/29/2022. It does say 7 for 1 right here listed. You also see 7/22, 7 for 1 listed. We also have BBBY Holdings LLC, DK Butterfly at the bottom with the example with the underwriting agreement as well filed down here. This was also on 7/21/22. So again, to show you this, we have the DK Butterfly, which is Bed Bath Holdings, okay? 7/21/22, you have BBBY Holdings underwriting agreement. One day after, you have these filings that come through on 7/22/2022 for a 7 for 1. So yes, there is a strong possibility here that we could in fact be seeing, look, there's a very real possibility that we could get 7 for 1 for each share of Bed Bath. Maybe it's GameStop, I don't know, but it is possible it is Bed Bath because Bed Bath is listed there as well. I'm going to play this video right here because it jacks my tits every single time. It says, what if there was suddenly a massive payout from Pulte? Then Platinum says, then I would be buying the same day. No. That ship has already sailed. Let's take a listen to this.
So Platinum and Vinegar, just let's have some fun for a second.
Sure.
What if there was a massive payout? What would both of you guys
I would be
do?
buying shares the same day.
No. That ship's already sailed. I'm saying, what if the shares went parabolic? What if they went back and they got traded again and there was a huge payday? I'm just curious.
I'd buy the same day.
Like Vinegar, you said that if you walked outside and saw $1 million. So it's like, what would you do if, you saw a bunch of millionaires?
Okay, in your completely hypothetical situation, I would compare it mostly to regretting not buying Bitcoin, 12 years ago when it was like, pennies, right? But again, we can just talk about hypotheticals all day long. You know what I mean?
Whoa!
Because then
now you're going to turn into a targeted GME meltdown. Are you now? And I know you're not. Are you now comparing these so-called canceled BBBY shares to Bitcoin in the early innings. Whoa, Vinegar.
Listen, hey, listen. If that makes you feel better, then you can
Vinegar. Oh my God. Oh,
I mean, my tits are absolutely fucking jacked. All right, if you want to share your screen, I got to take a piss, and then we'll finish up with your presentation. I know it's a good one. You've been wanting to present it here at the PP Show. We're going into overtime. We need an overtime button here at the PP Show. All right, I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to let you take over. I'll be back in less than 2 minutes.
All right, thanks, PP. And yeah, just I wanted to put my own thoughts together and share why I think why I bought into Bed Bath and Beyond, and what made me stick around with it. And I think it's not a story that's unique with me. I think it resonates probably with many of us here inside the community, and especially when, and for me, really, it boiled down to the media. When Ryan Cohen bought in, he wrote the letter. I got excited. I took a position, and I was like, "Let's fucking go." And then then he sold, and the media told us that he left us holding the bag, and I just never bought it. And I feel like that's why many of us are here. So, what I've always felt like from the limited understanding I had of Ryan Cohen, 4 or 5 years ago, compared to where I am and where we are today, I felt like there was just an element of stubbornness and of his wanting to hold people accountable that were bad actors. That was just something I felt that was in him. And I think that over time that has only been further validated as we progress through the journey. So this is my position in saying that Ryan Cohen never left. A story of stubbornness and accountability. If you had told me back in 2022 that I would end up holding Bed Bath & Beyond all the way through bankruptcy and cancellation, I would have laughed in disbelief. I bought this stock because I thought it was a quick flip. I saw the volatility, I saw Ryan Cohen's involvement, and I figured I could make a fast trade and use the profits to buy more GameStop. That was the plan, a simple plan. But when Ryan Cohen sold and the media said that he had exited the play in bad faith to leave shareholders like us holding the bag, the more something didn't sit right with me. That would be something that your typical hollow man in corporate America might do, but not Ryan Cohen. I didn't think so then, and I chose to hold my bobbies and buy the multitude of dips and watch closely. The mainstream story kept saying the same thing on repeat. Ryan Cohen bought in, failed, sold his shares, and left retail holding the bag. He quickly gave up, and moved on. I never bought that story. Not because I'm emotional, but because it didn't line up with the pattern of who I believed the man to be. My interpretation of this man that I found myself following, Ryan Cohen, is that he was probably always been has been stubborn in the best sense of the word. Stubborn in pursuit of success. Stubbornness accompanied by a tireless work ethic. A work ethic that he assumed from watching his father wake up early, go for long early morning runs in the bitter cold of Montreal, and work with the men in the warehouse to ensure his business ran smoothly and that his customers were delighted. Ryan Cohen experienced success early in life as a solopreneur, and his continued growth and path led him to finding himself pitching roughly 100 venture capitalists on his brilliant idea to compete against the established e-commerce juggernaut that is Amazon by selling dog food online.
And my apologies, Wally. Do you mind if I give some breaking news here real quick? We need a breaking news button as well. Sorry to impede. We have breaking news. So it turns out TD Bank just disclosed a 9% stake in eBay. TD Securities LLC gave a $20 billion highly confidential letter back in May of 2026. Also, $1.4 billion of GME bonds were just converted into shares over a 30-day VWAP. Surely nothing right. And we have an SEC filing as well. I'll share it for everybody on X. And go ahead and take over, Wally. My apologies. Just some breaking news. We're going to get that breaking news button next time we're here.
Yeah, that's interesting. First thing I thought of when you said that was the correlation between the highly confident letter to finance the deal, and now TD's taking a position. So between TD and Ryan, they've got 20%. They don't need many more institutions to crack 51%. And with 51%, GameStop doesn't even need to buy eBay. They can just install him as the CEO. GameStop can keep their shares on the books. He can drive shareholder value for eBay, not dilute our shares. And 10x the value of eBay, 10x the value of that 5 billion position on our books, and leave our shares for us. That sounds good to me.
Right.
Sounds good to me, BP.
Right on.
All right. So
go ahead, Wally. Sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about Ryan Cohen's brilliant idea to sell dog food online. Why didn't the first venture capitalist give him the money he was asking for? He had to talk to 100 because most people thought he was crazy. Most people told him to go pound sand. But Larry Cheng and Volition Capital seeded him roughly $15 million to begin building. What he built was Chewy, which became a household brand and the largest e-commerce acquisition of all time when purchased by PetSmart in 2013. Stubbornness, competence, commitment, obsessing on the customer experience, ruthless efficiency, and hard work are the attributes that allowed Ryan Cohen to succeed in this venture. After he sold Chewy, he stepped away for about a month before realizing he couldn't live the life of early retirement. That is not the life that he was built for. For a man with the attributes previously mentioned, it must feel like a life without purpose. He wants to work, and he has the privilege now to work on something that really matters. We may now just be realizing the noble pursuit and the grand vision that Ryan Cohen began planning in late 2013. A vision to find the hollow men, trap them, hold them accountable, and capture the leaky, bloated infrastructure of corruption and work tirelessly to maintain what was once leaking into durable shareholder value. That's my opinion anyways.
Crush Shorker with the 20. Welcome to Project Rocket. Now about the Project Butterfly. Can't wait to see it, man. Appreciate the 20. Go ahead, Wally.
Some years later, he took his first activist position in the most shorted company in the market, GameStop, and he got to work. The hollow men did not last long. With the benefit of 2020 vision that hindsight gives us, we may only now be seeing what Ryan Cohen began working on back in the mid-2010s. When he wrote the letter to the Bed Bath & Beyond board, he did what he has always done. He showed up, laid out his ideas, and expected accountability. The board resisted, they blocked his proposal, and he sold his shares. But in December of 2022, even after he had sold his shares, Ryan Cohen made an offer to buy the entire company for $400 million or so, while assuming $5.5 billion, all of the company's debt. That is documented. That happened. And it happened after the news told us that he sold and left us holding the bag. That was the lie. What came after that offer is where we move from documented fact into conservative, well-reasoned, and researched deduction. Shout out to Jake 2B. The evidence suggests that he did not simply walk away after that rejection. The structure that appeared in February of 2023 through Hudson Bay Capital gave him an indirect path to significant ownership and influence. The bylaw changes that followed, the way the plan was amended in September, the specific carve-outs that protected certain parties, and the post-confirmation disclosures in the Statement of Financial Affairs all point in one direction. I didn't endure this entire journey because I had some grand theory about mergers or secret plans. I'm here simply because I believe the mainstream media narrative was incomplete at best and dishonest at worst. I believed Ryan Cohen never truly left. He has shown time and again that he does not accept no from the hollow men that protect the status quo. And I believe that his reputation will grow to become widely understood as a man and an executive that holds boards full of hollow men accountable for their malfeasance, graft, and corruption. Who follows through in doing what he says he will do. I do not believe that the activist letter that he wrote to Bed Bath & Beyond was full of empty words. I believe that he meant every one, especially the plainly stated fact and closing statement of the letter, which reads precisely as, Hopefully, leadership acts with urgency to implement the aforementioned suggestions. Given that I am the chairman of GameStop and overseeing a systematic transformation, I am not in a position to join Bed Bath's board and personally drive the initiatives outlined in this letter. This does not mean, however, that RC Ventures will not seek to hold the board and management accountable if necessary. So here's the question I keep coming back to, and that I'll leave with you. How stubborn is Ryan Cohen? We know he was stubborn enough to keep going after more than 100 rejections in trying to fund Chewy. We know he was stubborn enough to return to work when he didn't have to because he wanted to. We know he was stubborn enough to take on the most shorted stock in the market. And we know he was stubborn enough to make a $400 million offer to buy Bed Bath & Beyond outright, even after the board had already pushed back and the media's told us that he sold. The record shows he is not a man that gives up easily. Whether that same stubbornness carried all the way through bankruptcy and into the present is something that each of us has to decide for ourselves based on the evidence. For me, the simplest explanation still feels like the most honest one. Ryan Cohen never left.
Boomski.
He has instead chosen to refuse to play by the rules of the hollow men of corporate America and chose to hold them to account. I sincerely believe this to be the truth. And the beautiful thing about the PP Show is that everybody gets an opinion, and this is mine. Everybody gets to share, and that, PP, is what makes your show the greatest goddamn show on the internet.
Right on, man. You're a good guy, Wally. I like it, man. That was a very nice presentation, might I add. Some people in the chat said they got chills. They absolutely loved it. Love Wally. A lot of love for Wally out there, man. Right on. You're a good dude, man.
Here. I fucking love this stock. We've all been through hell.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of some biblical story. It's like walking through the valley of the shadow of death. That is what we've been doing.
That's us.
But where we're going, I mean, gosh, just listen to Jake's, just listen to his 7-part series, listen to the recent space with Sal, go get an ear infection, take yourself out of work for a couple of days, listen to it 25 times over a long weekend. It is fucking unbelievable. So
Kinky says I got herpes. Right on. Good stuff. Good stuff, Wally. Good stuff. Love it, man. Hell yeah. All right, cool. We'll love the presentation, Wally. We got one last person here, and then we'll call it a night if that's okay with you. Just 5 minutes, and then we're out of here. We'll get some closing thoughts. Excellent stuff, Wally. Fantastic. Chat, welcome. True Justice. True, what's going on, man? Welcome to the PP Show, man. The greatest fucking show on earth. What do you have for the good people at home tonight, True? Lay it on us, man. You got 5 minutes.
Yo, PP.
What's up, man?
What's happening? That's already 3 seconds.
Let's hear it, man.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, no worries.
So yeah, I was just wondering if anybody was talking about what I shared with you in the private chat.
About what? You had written in the private chat here. Let me read it back. You said AI told you that wait, hold on. You said where was it? True Justice. Just lay it on us, man. I can't find it here in the back chat. It was something about AI and some kind of glitch. Just walk us through it, my man. Let's hear it.
The BMO from the Bank of Montreal showing up in my trading account.
Okay, yeah, tell us about it, man. We got a couple thousand people in here tonight, man. Let's hear it.
So if you guys don't know, you already know the story. I was originally with TD Ameritrade, and I got swapped over to do blah, blah, blah. But it's showing up now in my account with BBYVXX.
That's okay. We were covering that earlier, that VXX one. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what's interesting is like I asked AI like 20 different things, and it says that it's all unrelated to the transitional phase of BBY dropping the ticker symbol and then turning into neighborhood intelligence and NXH and everything like that. Right. What I find funny about all this stuff are the dates. And what I find funny about it for chat, the guys that love me, I appreciate you guys. The guys that love the PP show and everybody, but the shills, I have to give you a big fuck you.
All right. Yeah.
But beyond that, I always thought it was interesting. I can never figure out two things. One, why would they do what they did? Okay, way back then. Okay, with the BBY, we all understand why it went into BBYQ. But when it turned into BYON, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then there was supposed to ringing of the bell, and then it was just a big nothing burger, right?
CEO stepped down.
Right. And, you know, Marcus Lemonis and all his texts and games and X, Y, and Z, whatever. You and I were on the same page about that. But as far as the Five Guys, I always wondered, what are the Five Guys? And now, after what just recently transpired, I said, wow, it makes kind of perfect sense. And people make fun of me. They call me the numbers guy or a goofball and stuff. But Ryan Cohen himself, if I'm a goofball, Ryan's a goofball, because Ryan's all about gematria and numerology. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also Jewish. And he does a lot of things with numerology and gematria that correlates with the Jewish calendar, not the Gregorian calendar. So what I realized is that the Five Guys are the five things that were in front of our face the whole time, but the fifth thing just didn't transpire until recently. You had BBBY that turned into BBYQ, BBYQ that turned into BYON, and then you had BBYON that turned into BBBY last year of August.
Holy shit.
And then the fifth one now is what? NXH.
True has no one has ever discovered that or made that connection before. Wow. Holy shit, True.
With a lighter and give me a fucking.
All right. I like it. All right. You got my attention. Yeah.
Right. And for those guys that think I'm still smoking methamphetamine, I'm cooking. I'm always cooking.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't do hard drugs. I just drink alcohol. So
good.
But I realized, okay, so what is this whole time, right? It was one big giant trap to set them up, because it's something that's never been done before, right? It's very, very, very big. So I also looked up and I researched, what does this BMO note have to do with? What is it traded on, and, you know, directly or indirectly, just in general? And what I found out recently within the last 3 days is the BMO is actually indirectly correlated with Carl Icahn. And there's a ETF through Canada, through Selective, that basically hedges against the Canadian market. So based upon whatever note you're in, like this note currently expires 7/31 of, or I'm sorry, 7/29 of the year, 31. So what it basically does is, it's kind of interesting on the 0% convertible note bonds. If you looked at the two issuances prior to, there was the ones that were 2030 and 2032. Well, it's kind of funny that this one expires and it has a maturity rate of 2031 that's right set in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say that what he's doing doesn't only have to do with the Bank of Montreal because of how it's listed, but it also has to do with a hedge on the indices against the billionaire gurus? Because I didn't know until yesterday that there's an ETF that you can go in and buy into that is a hedge with all the top 50 billionaires in the world. And the number one that I came up with happens to be Carl Icahn. Through Selective, through the Canadian exchange, is indirectly correlated through Germany. So I find it funny that who's to say that these things taking place right now yesterday with people saying BBYQ was listed, and everything I researched, it said it was a glitch. Well, I looked it up today, and it still says that it was recently posted as of 8/11/2026. So it says that the glitch can only take place for a half day to for a full day, all the way after the bell ringing of the trading day. Well, here we are, a new trading day, and it's still active. The only thing is you can't get in on it yet, but it's got a 52-week high, and right now it's measuring at almost $100 per note. So I guess my question is to this. I asked AI everything. I said, does this have anything to do with BBBY, BBBYQ, bondholders, stakeholders, shareholders, or any of the notes or anything prior to right now or 2023 with the Chapter 11 filing or in the last 7 years? It said no. So then I asked AI, I said, okay, if not no, then what does this have to do with? And it couldn't give me an answer, but it also couldn't definitively give me an answer that it doesn't have anything to do with the DK Butterfly estate. And what I find interesting too, with everything I research, next month is 41 months since we went into bankruptcy, right? My calculation shows that Ryan Cohen started his activism journey in 2019. So next month would be equivalent of 741. Not just that, but if you look at the data and everything that's already been displayed, we went into something in September 12th of 2023. The bankruptcy accepted it in September of 2023 of the 14th. The 28th, it basically went into progress. And on September 30th of 2023, it was activated. But on September 28th of 2023, it was kind of simultaneously what took place with not just Bed Bath & Beyond, but also Ryan Cohen. A lot of people don't know that Ryan Cohen accepted the presidency and CEO position on September 28th with GameStop, right? And there's been the 80 movement that's been taking place to where there's been the 80% control and everything taking place with basically all the shares and just all the nonsense that has taken place since 2023. But if you look at the math and everything like that, it comes out to a 38, right? So it's kind of interesting because he was like, what, just entering the 38 phrase? And then his birthday is supposedly what? August 4th of 1986.
Yeah.
August 4th, we just had the issuance of the over $1 billion with the debt to equity swap, correct?
Yes.
Right. And then the next day you have Bed Bath & Beyond earnings. And then the announcement the same day after hours that they're now changing into a new parent company from former Overstock that's overheaded them. That was the, headquarters in Murray, Utah, now transitioning and moving to Nashville, Tennessee. So my whole thing is this. Who's to say that BBBY, BBYQ, BYON, and when BBY came back, wasn't the master setup of all time to trap everybody that shorted the equity through the securities, through the exchanges on each ticker symbol, and then basically consolidate that and condense that into an internal audit through his security division, which he even put in one of his filings, that he has his own internal audit division, if you will, and then X that out, put that to the side, and now everything moving forward through the transitional period is NXH through the Neighborhood Intelligence. But what is the big thing that just took place? The Texas Stock Exchange. That's only about
That's a good point.
Right? It's only 35 minutes away from the headquarters of Great Plain, Texas, right?
Yes.
So from what I researched, there's obviously, like UCOP even presented, like there's a 90-day cooling off period. But what I researched, if a company has a subsidiary or entity already currently in progress or trading through the stock exchange, they can go ahead and relist through another ticker symbol that is correlated with that entity or subsidiary of the umbrella company through the Texas Stock Exchange. And the majority of the listings become available in October, which is kind of funny because October 18th is when everything was canceled out. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, after my research, I was looking at it. What if this whole time, not just, BBY being a proxy and all that stuff, and what they did with the IP rights, what if the whole thing has just been a placeholder of another placeholder in order to buy time until they can get all this deal swapped out to do the clawbacks? Just what happened yesterday was a leak with the FMC, the Federal Maritime Commission, right? That was another 40 plus million.
Yeah.
And they're still going to do more clawbacks with JPM, who is the parent company of the Mediterranean Shipping Company as well. So all these shipping companies were working directly and indirectly to death spiral the company, because they knew if the company couldn't not just have a stock price that showed validity on what the true intrinsic value of the company was worth, how else do we fuck this over? How do we get an excuse? Oh, we could say there's shortages at the ports because the ports are short because of COVID, right? But not just that, we can also go and pay our people, our constituents, or our cronies, and we can basically short the stock indirectly from the merchandise coming over to where, hey, there's nothing even really on the shelves over here. So it kind of looks like, excuse me. It kind of looks like, oh yeah, we're going here to buy whatever we're going to get from Bed Bath & Beyond. Well,
right.
This store is looking kind of like a broke ass Big Lots at this point, right? And it's just going down and down. But at the end of the day, what if the only point of that was to make sure that the securities and how they showed and illustrated it all was in the physical stores, that they didn't have enough compliance with the exchanges due to the fact that they didn't have the actual inventory, but nobody would ever know that because they would think that it was just a shortage due to COVID because the ports were closing down. That's
a good point. Yeah, I like that. I've never heard that angle before. I mean, true. I mean, you're onto something big, my man. I like it. I've also never heard of the Five Guys being compared to like the 5 different name changes as well. That's what you missed in here, XTX. I know you're asking in the chat. Go ahead.
I also had one more thing.
Yeah, let's hear it. Yep.
So, babe, do me a favor, give me a napkin. Sorry, I had to overfill on my beer. So, thanks. So basically, I did it.
I love True Justice, man.
I love you guys. You guys fucking rock, man.
You're awesome, dude.
Without you, your show, and everybody else, like, we'd all be sitting in the dark.
Right.
But I came up. I was up late at one night, and I did a deep dive, and something else that never made sense to me with the whole 741, and Ryan Cohen posting the things back. Can you remember in 2021 with like the U.S. flag? And he did that on April 24th in 2021. It was a repost. Do you guys recall that?
Yes, slightly.
And he did like it was a nod to 1944 of April 24th.
Okay. All
right, and then he the other thing he got a lot of criticism for was it was posting a thing with the Gates about World War II, and like people were like trying to say he was some kind of like Nazi and this bad guy, and I'm thinking, like, are you guys out of your fucking mind? This guy's Jewish. Like, he's Jewish. Like, why would he go and say things about X, Y, and Z against everything that happened to his ancestors and everybody else. You know what I mean? He would just look like the biggest asshole ever. That wasn't the case. I researched and I found out what was so significant about April 24th, 1944. And it came up, and this is kind of really funny.
People in the chat. Sorry, go ahead.
It's called the U.S. DD dash 741 U.S. Drexler destroyer ship.
No shit.
Yeah, and it was, and here's the funny thing about it. It was laid down in the water to go in service to fight, and then it, you know, it went off after that and it went out to El Canal, but it got sunk, it got destroyed, right? Everybody died on it went down. It got blown up by what is he called, kamikazes? The crazy thing is there was only one Canadian to serve on the ship of the USS Drexler 741. And what's interesting that the Canadian, his name was Leo Walter Bassan, and he was only like, I think like 2.5 hours away from where Ryan Cohen's family was. And what's more interesting about that is where the US DD 741 was built. It was built in Bath, Maine. And what's interesting about that is in Bath, Maine, there's a company called Bath Iron Works. And there's a company that's a parent company of that company that's called General Dynamics. Do you want to know who is the biggest profiteer of General Dynamics in the early 1990s?
Let's
that went transitioned from that and moved on? I'll let you take one guess of who it is.
Dick Cheney.
No.
I have no idea.
Kelly Clarkson.
Come on. BP, I'll give you one more try. I know you know who it is.
What is Cohen always talking about?
Come on, man. It's a fucking thumb war, bro.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett was the man that profited off of Bath Iron Works and General Dynamics in early.
No shit.
And what's interesting about this is that he took, back then it was a $400 million profit. In today's money, it would be about $1 billion. But what has Cohen has always done? He takes the both the best worlds, right? He takes the strategy of Warren Buffett. That's, you know, get into something and get it, hold on, and, you know, stay in it for how many years, but eventually there's the upside to it, right? And then he goes with the strategy with Carl Icahn, which is super highly aggressive and does hostile takeovers.
Wow.
Carl Icahn.
My mind is blown away, man.
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting, and I'm not saying that the Bassan families somehow directly or indirectly related to the Cohen family. I couldn't find that information.
Yeah.
But I just think it's highly interesting that that deal went down, and I think it was like 91 going in 1992. And that deal propelled Warren Buffett into doing everything all the way for reinvesting and putting all the equity into what everybody thought was the laughing stock, which was Geico Insurance. So I guess what I'm trying to share with you guys is that everything that I've been doing and connecting the dots, I thought was interesting with the 741, and the last date was of the 741 for the year 26 was July 31st. And what recently transpired, and what are the odds that you would have Cohen do what he did, and then you had Bed Bath Beyond, and then Bed Bath Beyond changes this. Now they're going to, you know, drop the ticker symbol. And then, you know, Friday it's gone. And then August 17th, it's going to convert and turn into NXH through, you know, neighborhood intelligence. But everything else with Bed Bath & Beyond is now kind of X'd out. But the fifth one, in my opinion, is the Five Guys. And the Five Guys separates itself moving forward for everything else, for all the equity and securities, for everybody that's been shorted, retail, bondholders, and stakeholders since 2023 or maybe even prior to.
Wow, Justice. I gotta say, man, holy shit. My mind is absolutely blown, man. Good stuff, man. I mean, I mean, again, you know, this is, I've never heard of any of these connections before prior to this. And I gotta say, hats off to True Justice, you know, out there. Whenever you come on the show, man, you fucking deliver. I mean, you don't fuck around. You come up here with facts and tinfoil, whatever it may be, and connections. I love it, man. I mean, hats off to you, my man. Anything else you'd like to add as we start to wrap up here tonight?
I just want to say to people that are listening or, you know, tuning into the show, I would be very surprised if there's not a major filing that's issued in the month of September, due to the fact that you have the 35-day transactional period that ends on September 21st. But
yes,
I would look to a date from everything I've been looking at, and I would look at between September 22nd and September 23rd, not just for GameStop and the eBay and everything. I know there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of people there's a lot of mixed emotions and feelings and thoughts, and I understand that. But as far as the people that were in Bed Bath & Beyond, BBY and held through BBYQ and everything like that, I would expect something because of the fact that next month is the 41st month. And from what I researched, a standard Chapter 11 bankruptcy, if it doesn't have any hiccups, if you will, but of course ours had a lot in fraud, after the 36-month period, it's the standard 5 months additionally on top of that, if there is a reemergence of a waterfall to make shareholders whole, which would bring us to next month, which is 41 months. And I think it's interesting because of everything else that happened. If I'm not mistaken, Ryan Cohen's father, Theodore, he did pass away in 2019, which was 7 years ago. And next month is 41 months. So I'm not saying that's it, but at the latest, I believe, if anything, there's going to be some distribution through equity, fraud, or anything like that. I believe anywhere from the second to third week of October at the latest. And I don't think it has to do with the IRS tax lien laws. Because how else would he know what has 741 been this whole entire time? How would you know how the length of everything, just like what took place with the Brand House Collective and what Roaring Kitty did in relation with Larry Chang on November 24th, and exactly a year later on Monday, November 24th, the Brand House Collective was acquired by Bed Bath & Beyond, Inc., the parent company of that. It's not coincidence, it's not odds. These guys know time frames, and you know, with all their attorneys and all the legal advice that they get, I think they get not just an approximate date, but at least a ballpark figure of which month things could transpire and then turn out to a distribution.
Well said, man. Holy shit. True Justice. Hats off to True tonight. We're going to start wrapping up here. Any closing thoughts for the good people at home watching tonight? True, we got a couple thousand tuning in here across all of our platforms. What do you have for the good people at home, True, as we start to wrap up tonight? Let's hear it.
First of all, for everybody tuning in, I just want to thank PP most of all. A lot of people have, doubted him, talk shit. Not everybody agrees on everything 100%. I mean, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, his show and his platform, for people that were, truly in this from the very beginning and had the right intentions and stuck together, I think this platform and the show is something that in itself has never been done before in any community that I know of, and I'm in my 40s. So
thank you.
No, thank you. And for everybody tuning in or watching, or anybody that hasn't tuned in and they rewatch this next day or next week or whatever, I would just keep a lookout for not the month of August, but I would keep a lookout for the last week of September. And the reason why I'm saying that is because from what I researched is that once this deal goes through and Ryan Cohen follows up with the 8K after post September 21st, and my belief would be September 22nd on a Tuesday. That's just my opinion. I would expect fireworks to begin either that Friday or the following Monday for share buybacks of GameStop. And not just that, I also believe that, and this is my opinion, I believe the people that have been holding on this long and have, been left in the dark, for people that have been upset with Ryan and pissed off at Ryan and all these things, I understand that, but I just want to say that he had the almost greatest intentions due to the fact that if he were to go in and, shoot his shots, we would never even have this opportunity. So, and if Ryan, if you're watching, I completely understand. And I hope other people understand too, that you've had nothing but the best intentions as an activist investor, not just for yourself, but for retail investors across the world. And we can't thank you enough. And that's just kind of how I feel. I think when this grand finale finally pops off, I think people will finally feel justified in the being left in the dark in the wait time, because if it was all exposed, I think the whole plan would have been sabotaged. And that's why we've all had to be left in the dark by our leader intentionally to protect us. Mm-hmm. But with us as a community, we weren't left in the dark with each other. I think, our words and the volume speaks enough with everybody that's come on your show, who you've had, and everybody that's had the utmost best intentions to keep us positive and hopeful through this whole thing. So thank you.
Right on. Guys. All right, you heard it from True Justice. Chat, let's get some love for True, an excellent dude here at the show tonight. And wow, I gotta say, some mind-blowing stuff that he shared with us tonight. True, enjoy the rest of the night. Hope to see you again on the PP Show, man. And chat, let's get some love for True on the way out. Take care, my man.
God bless.
You, brother.
God
bless, brother. See ya.
Take care. Thank you.
Good stuff, man. What a fucking show tonight, man. We got some tips here on the way out from Javerick with the 5. So PP, love the unending positive tweets. Given everything you know, give probabilities over 500 for Bed Bath, under 500 for Bed Bath, or under 100 recovery. I'm sticking to it, man. $500 a share. It's going to be big. And, it could even be potentially bigger than that, right? Again, there's a lot of evidence that shows that this could, in fact, be, it could, in fact, be 500 per share. Javerick also with the 5 says, my family jokes if PO hits. I don't know if that's PO or Bed Bath or PP, but what do you plan or joke about is this actually plays out? Javerick also with the 2, you talked about SWF, maybe over 1,000. Talk me through. Yes, I do think that there's potential for it to be a lot higher. I could be underestimating the potential of how big this is connected to Fannie Mae, Sovereign Wealth Fund. I mean, you could easily get up to a couple thousand to potentially what Berkshire Hathaway is worth to over 100K. Okay, if you really want me to jack your fucking tits. Javerick with the 10, appreciate the love. So where is the money coming from? My answer is enough to trigger capitulation of the shorts. Same playbook is it's not going to zero. You as a short are on the hook. Where do you get your 500 number? Primarily through things that we've seen through the Teddy books, through Bill Pulte signals, things like that. Okay, so I do thoroughly believe that it's going to be over 500. if you want my honest opinion, again, it's my opinion at the end of the day. Javerick with the 2, PP, I want a baby cameo in the movie. We'll make sure of that, my man. We'll make sure of that. All right, Wally Pug, let's hear it, man. What do you have for the good people at home to know, man, as we wrap up the show tonight, man? Again, what an excellent show, from Goat Beards to True Justice to Alpha attending the show tonight. What do you have for us, Wally? And your presentation was fantastic. As we wrap up, what do you want the good people at home to know? A couple thousand tuning in across all our platforms here tonight. What would you like them to know, Wally? Let's hear it.
I just find myself constantly reflecting on the synchronicity of everything.
Yeah.
It's just so insane. Like, at this point, I mean, we've been getting so much. There's been so much exciting stuff finally flowing through, really this year, and it just seems to be accelerating. I mean, let's go back to January, right? January, February, Michael Burry enters the play where, Ryan Cohen's giving interviews. He's in the Wall Street Journal. He's talking about the fat pitch. We're like, this is the fucking year.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, so Michael Burry buys in, we get excited. Then there's the eBay play. Ryan Cohen's going on the Bond road show. Obviously price action isn't where we want it to be right now, but right now it really feels like, it just feels like we're bleeding down and we're experiencing max pain. I'm not talking about the pain, the options pain inflicted on us by Citadel. I'm saying, like, this shit hurts. Like, to see, like, my cost basis is way above $20, and to see it drop in a day or whatever on some news from, floating between $21 and $23 to down to like 17 and change, like, that shit fucking hurts. But you know what? It's time to. It's not our
fucking time.
It's our fucking time. It's not our first time having to eat the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling this same way really twice before in this entire saga. The first time was when we really had that battle for 180. Remember, with GameStop, there's all the memes with the Grim Reaper and stuff, and that adjusts to like around $28 with current dilution. Before dilution and stock, right after the stock split, it was $45, but there's been dilution, so it's around 28 right now. So 28 is like, I sort of map that to the battle of 180 from 4 years ago.
Right.
But it fucking hurt to lose 180 back then and then drop down in, between, and and not ever see it go back above it until the next time I felt that pain, which was May of 2024. When we were it dropped down to like $10, and it was after a multi-year grind from the battle of 180. Then there's the stock split. So after the stock split, it's 45, and then
that was tough.
It was tough. It took years. We ground from $45 down to 10, and I had already bought in at 45. I was battling for the battle of 180. I was a fucking soldier. I was right there.
Right
that
on.
cost basis fucking sucks right now. Like, it hurts. It hurts. And it hurt. And it really hurt to see it at $10 in May of 2024.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Roaring Kitty returned.
Roaring Kitty returned. I mean, but
went to 80.
It went to 80. Went to 80. And it's
which
like,
is
we're not,
what, 320 pre-split.
320.
Yeah.
So it just, I and someone mentioned earlier that what some people find to be attractive about the stock, like Roaring Kitty. Richard Newton has done some great research talking about it, the cyclical nature of it, right? So it is a stock that does behave in strange ways cyclically. And remember, the shorts need this thing to fucking go bankrupt, and it's not fucking happening. And the price is fake. We're not going bankrupt. We're wiping debt off the balance sheet. We've got $10 fucking billion, basically. A profitable business. It's just insane. Now we're getting institutional alignment, which it's nice now. Several years ago, I wouldn't have been excited about it because the attitude was like, "Fuck the shorts. We're going to take their money. Down with the institutions. We are the next institutions." And but we are going to be more relevant than the people that currently occupy the boardrooms of places like Goldman Sachs. Larry Chang.
Larry Chang said we are going to be bigger than a Goldman Sachs.
So, you know, in a perfect world that I would have created for myself, we would have won already. Institutions would be done. It would be blockchain, everything. We'd be, you know, everything would be great, right? But I think in the real world that we're living in, this institutional alignment was necessary, and that became apparent to me after we diluted after the 2024 run up. But I get that same sense of pain and fear and just my gut turning over that it fucking sucks to be below $20. But I'll take, you know, if on the way down when we hit the bottom, if it runs, and we're not going to 10, like get the fuck out. We're not. That's not we were at $10. We were at $10 when we had $1 billion on the balance, like $900 million on the balance sheet, something like that. Like we did not have. Did we even have that much money on the balance sheet back in May? I think we did because it was. I think we were like a $2 or $3 billion market.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think that was something
half
like
cash.
that. Yeah, it was something like that.
So we're not going back to 10. Like, get out of here. It's not happening. So I feel like we're closing in on the bottom. And I'll take a 500%, 600%, 800% run up from 15.
That's nothing. I'll get excited when it's 20,000%. 40,000.
Well, sure. No, I mean, it'll be nice to see. It's not like I'm exiting the position or anything, but it's just like I'd rather see green. It's a nice treat that I don't get to see very often in my portfolio, unfortunately, because I'm in this till the bitter fucking end. But that's just kind of where my head's at. I reflect on the synchronicity of things. I reflect on what it feels like right now to be below 20 and how it feels similar to where we were in 2024 when we, after multiple years, had bled down from the battle from 180 all the way down to 10. And the way it felt then when we were like, because 180 was low comparatively, right? Because we squeezed up to 560. And then, you know, it sort of bounced between like 250, you know, 180 and 250. And then there was the battle for 180. We lost. And it started this long, extended, painful grind down to 10. So just right now, and I feel that same way, that same pain that I felt then. But the difference is now, holy shit, do we have some exciting stuff on our plates for the next 90 days. So
amen.
Hang in there, boys and girls. We're gonna fucking make it. And
we're God bless you, all gonna make it.
Yeah, God bless you, PP, and the greatest show on the internet, the PP Show. Thanks so much, brother.
Right on. God bless you, Wally. Chat, let's get some love for Wally on the way out. What a trooper, man. Excellent stuff. Enjoy the rest of the night. Hope to see you next time on the PP Show, my man. Take care.
All right, brother. Take care.
There you have it, man. The PP Show. We got together. We talked some DD. Hell, even the fellas showed up to lend their opinion. We went into overtime, man. Wow. I got to say, it's nearly like 10:15 p.m. at night over here. I got to say, man, hats off to everybody who came on the show tonight. Everybody that I mentioned earlier. Again, you know, this has been one of the craziest plays that we've ever seen in our lifetime, man. And, you know, I do truly believe a lot of us are going to make millions of dollars. And that is my opinion, my right to believe so. Yaverick, to answer your question about some of the stuff you were saying, yes, you know, if you're comparing it to a Berkshire Hathaway type of business, it could scale beyond higher than 500. You know, I used to look at a very narrow lens. There's a share because of short sellers, things like that. But think about how the bonds are connected to Fannie Mae. Think about how all these white hats from Sultan Al-Madid, Bill Pulte, you know, kind of alluding to this Gameshire Hathaway. You know, Michael Burry at one point said that, you know, Cohen is the next Warren Buffett and this is the next Berkshire Hathaway, right? And he also did say if GameStop was involved in any degree with Bed Bath, he's out. And what I see is that he is out, right? So again, could be a lot higher than 500, could go to fucking God knows what, man, right? $100,000 a share. I mean, I've been one of the people out here who confidently believe that even GameStop itself, just GameStop alone, could potentially surpass $1 million per share. And I'm allowed to believe it. All right. And yes, it sounds crazy, but I've seen a lot more crazier things in my lifetime, man. So with that being said, appreciate your guys' support, man. Whether you watch, you donate, whatever it may be, appreciate your guys' support of the greatest show on earth, The PP Show. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of the night. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, and enjoy the dildo slap on the way out. Big thanks to all the DD writers up here who came up tonight to lend their opinion. Hats off to everybody in this community, man. God bless the peepees, man. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of the night, and we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the dildo slap. Peace.